fire. I didn't even think about that. I don't know. Like, have you done any thumbnails recently? Or you kind of been off that for a little bit?
I could dust off the old Adobe.
See, that's and that I didn't even think about that until I texted you. I was like,
at thumbnail. I was watching. I told you earlier I was watching the interviews, and they copied your thumbnail style. I was gonna text you that, but I was like, that's probably a really weird thing, a really nerdy thing to text them out of the blue. But CBS uses how you have like the banner almost thing, and it's like a ripped off page or something. It's literally that, and then it's like the picture of like whatever prospect they interviewed with. That's a thing, but yeah.
I know. I want it.
That's Dion style. That's because he's the GOAT, the copy and the GOAT.
I wonder if I should change that. I've been wondering if I should change that because I've been doing that for a while. I was like, go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's. I like it because I think everybody likes it because when they're scrolling through, they know it's you. Except for there's one other guy out there, shot right or wrong, who obviously copied your style, but just because you're doing, you're killing it. So he obviously. What do you gotta if you want to learn how to do sweet shit, follow who's doing sweet shit, right? So that's probably why he's doing it.
See, that's actually smart though, because that's exactly why I did it at the time. It was years ago. I think I was watching a video on how you should brand your YouTube videos. So that's why I went to that style, because at first it was the full screen thing. Yeah. Part of me kind of hates it though, because if I gotta fit 3 players in there, I'm like, dang, I kind of want to get rid of this. Because then they're all smushed together.
Yeah.
So, part of me is maybe I should change it every once in a while. But yeah, I always have to leave that dang banner down there. I don't know. It makes it easy though, because it's a template. You just
I like it. You know it's you. I mean, mess around if you like. I don't know.
There you go. It's working. It's good. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Doing pretty good.
Chat's popping too. Hey, so what's your favorite movie at this time? Yeah. Because this has some real stuff to it, because you do text me. You texted me last time when you saw Madam Web.
I did. So, that was an awful movie. That was so bad. It was so bad. I'm not even joking, dude. I laughed out loud in the theater. That's how bad it was. It was.
That's not good, man.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. I've not been back to the movie since. Actually, I'm going to see a therapist to get over that situation I went through. Madam Web is a horrendous movie.
See, that's disappointing. Yeah.
Law-abiding citizen.
Okay, I've heard of it. Never seen it.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch it. It's really good. Law-abiding citizen or Tarantino. I love Tarantino movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's your favorite movie? Where'd this come from?
Where would it come from? The question?
Some on my computer.
Oh, I mean, look, man. All right, real quick. Favorite movie?
Yeah.
Maybe the Polar Express or something. Look, let's not go down. No, man. My favorite movie is my favorite movie is Taken, man. That's always been my favorite movie.
Yeah, I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I got it set up. So I finally, I kind of don't have it set up. I've been buying movie posters, but not for some reason, someone gave me the Taken one. But I got it. It's big, so it's bigger than all the other ones, which makes it look a little weird. So I put it in a whole nother room. But I got a signed Liam Neeson picture to put next to it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that looks pretty sweet. So I was pretty fired up when I got that.
Is he your favorite actor or something?
No, not my favorite actor, but I just think the movie's fire.
So I found the poster or the picture.
Someone got me the poster for Christmas, but I had already had the signature, because at some point I was like, yo, I want to get a poster for this movie because it's my favorite movie.
Yeah.
So when I was on eBay. Everybody bids on eBay. So I found it on eBay and I was like, all right, I gotta buy that. So I was bidding for it on the way home from Indianapolis in my car, dude. I was bidding. That would have been rough, man, if I would have crashed like that and then they would have looked back and been like, man, he was bidding on that and he lost. I was bidding on that, on the way home.
Did not expect you to have a Liam Neeson autograph photo.
No, it's kind of weird too, because it
is kind of weird. It's not from the that is pretty random.
It's random. It's not from the same movie, so he's way younger. But I'm like, it's sweet. So I just put it inside the poster. I have another one too. I have a couple. I have another autograph with the movie. But I think that's sweet. On
the poster that'd be hard. I'm not gonna lie. That'd be pretty.
That's what I got it inside the frame.
Because now I have to know. And if you're too embarrassed by it, I guess you don't have to tell me. But how much did Liam Neeson autograph cost?
Yo, to be honest, dude, I don't even remember. I don't know. I don't know, man, because I was like so locked in and just getting the highest hit. It started off low because that's how eBay plays you. Chat, we're gonna get to the question one sec, but
Oh yeah,
eBay
yeah,
plays
sure.
you because they set the bidding and it's like, oh, $3, and it's like, 18 hours. And you're like, dang, that's nothing. I'll start bidding on that. So then you say, you're like max bid or whatever, and then you're bidding on it. And
Yeah.
then at some point, I'm just not looking anymore because now it's not like letting me go a cent over. It's like, oh no, you got to go like an extra $1. And I don't even care at that point because at one point it was so low, man, they can't be that high. So I don't know. It was probably way too darn much. Considering I have to fill my dang gas tank
See,
just to
now I
get
know
to
you're embarrassed
Indianapolis.
by the amount. No, honestly, I did get because I can relate to like not knowing the price. Was it a lot? You remember it being a lot, or you like were you
I don't think it
comfortable
was
with
that bad. I don't think it was that bad. I
Yeah,
probably
man,
probably
who the
more
hell
upset walking
wants
by it.
Liam Neeson autograph just picture? It's not like
Wait, you wouldn't want that? You wouldn't want that from like a
like
random
a
movie?
poster, yeah, but like a
Bro,
picture.
he looks like he's like 19 in the picture.
I picture this thing like next to your bed, like on your nightstand. Like,
I mean, it's
before
in
you
the
go to
same
bed.
room, but it ain't on my
Is that
nightstand. It's in
real?
the same room though. I can see it when I'm laying down. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Okay. Chat, let's get it going, man. I see Hot Rod link.
That conversation was wild.
We got Phenom. Neon, is it true Goff and Brown contract extension? All right, let's talk about this then, man. I think we should knock out the contracts first because I mean, let's just start with St. Brown. I don't have no graphics or anything for this. This one's just kind of straightforward, but it was reported. I think it was the Free Press that put this out there that the Lions were going to have discussions with St. Brown at the combine.
Yeah.
About an extension. So you must have saw that too. The only thing that I can come up with that I think is really worth talking about is how much it would be. And I think when I just a quick look at like what the receivers are getting paid, to me, it's got to be at least 25 million per year. I mean, maybe it's a little bit less than that, but it feels like it has to hit that. I mean, I don't know how it's anything less than what the top receivers are in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's worth every penny. To me, it's crazy because I'm pretty principled on like salary cap. I've always been that way. Not my entire life, but since I've kind of been like, I guess, studious of like what's winning in the NFL, right?
Right.
But it's tough, bro, because I'm such an Amon-Ra St. Brown fan, and I think another part with him is he's such a core foundation of like what we are as a team. Because when you think about him, you think of a guy that works his ass off. Like he's got that Kobe Bryant mentality almost, So like there's value beyond like on the field production, on top of the on the field production being top 5, top 10 in the league, So he's worth it. And the thing too with these contracts is like you could bitch about the cap hit. I'm sorry if I'm swearing, I apologize. But you could complain about like the average annual value of it. But in all reality, like these contracts are all backloaded. So it's like those first couple of years of it really aren't going to affect you too bad, or at least to a point where it's like detrimental to like your cap space, Right. And he again, this guy's a 4th round pick. Like he was making nothing beforehand. So like he deserves this. I'm a St. Brown fan, totally fine with this.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Honestly, we'll hit on it more when we get to the Goff thing in a second, but like now, especially with these big deals, it's almost like teams are now setting them up where they're like knowing going in a couple years in, we're going to restructure the deal anyway. So we just have to give ourselves an ability to restructure it again.
Yep.
Like especially as long as it's long enough, we're going to restructure the thing again. And like, I'm with you that I don't think there's I mean, if you want to look at like maybe the mass side of paying wide receivers, but that's the only thing you could go into there. I mean, like you said, to me, I originally would have thought this would be kind of crazy. I could see where you're coming from. Like if you would have said like maybe a year or two ago, because like, oh, as great as he is though, you're paying him 25+ million. I mean, for a dude that's a slot. But then when you see like even just this last year, it's like he's not even just a slot receiver anymore. He's a number one, not number one body, but he's a number one receiver. He just doesn't look like it at all. But it's like now they do everything with him, and then like you said, I always just love the blocking, man. It's like to the point where St. Brown's one of those dudes where every time after a game you just don't talk about him, because if you do, it just feels like you're wasting time because everybody knows he was fantastic.
Yeah.
He's like, he was awesome again. It just only time you talk about is if he drops something. You're like, man, I don't know how he dropped that one, but dang, he has like a couple occasional like random drops. That's the only time you talk. Otherwise, you just expect that it's going to be awesome all game long, and it is. So I'm with you. You got to pay him.
Yeah, and like what I mean, that's the other thing too is like we actually saw our guy Neil a couple weeks back. He said that he was better than Justin Jefferson, and obviously, like I don't think that it's tough, bro. It just depends like where you measure it. But one thing like you just mentioned with Amon-Ra St. Brown, like the consistency, right? And I think there is more value in that at times than like the guy that's going to go out there and make that splash play. Like, yeah, Justin Jefferson's definitely able to do things that Amon-Ra St. Brown can't do, but
Right.
Amon-Ra is like what you're getting out of him every single time, and it just what happens to be top 10 production, top 5 production. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's just there's value in that like yeah, one may value that over what Justin Jefferson gives you.
And then how about this too? Because then I would also think about the fit. Like I remember I did a Bleacher Report episode earlier in the year, and people were like, "Okay, is St. Brown a top 5 receiver?" And I basically tried to make the case that he was a top 5, coming in thinking like this is gonna be very difficult.
Yeah,
Because like what you said, like if you just told me player for player, like in just a player thing, like yeah, I would probably take Justin Jefferson just because he's like an insane route runner. It's like I don't know
yeah,
how anybody guards that guy. It's like you always need 2 people. St. Brown's not kind of the same, but when you talk about with the Lions, is St. Brown top 5 for the Lions? Like absolutely,
oh,
because of Goff's skill set. It's like no, St. Brown is like the
yeah.
best piece that this guy. You give him Jefferson, it'd be great. Like he'd still be awesome. But it's like giving him Jamar Chase versus St. Brown. I'll take St. Brown all day long because like he's gonna eat with St. Brown. You give him Chase, it's like you might get a couple splash plays, but like his best strength doesn't fit Goff's best strengths. So it's like St. Brown's perfect for this team. And then to what you said about just being reliable, like the dude's anytime he's hurt, he still plays. It's like you just expect him to play, and then you
Yeah.
don't really notice that he's hurt, but he's still hurt. It's like he checks every box because the guy's consistently out there, and then he just fits perfectly with Goff. And that's what I always think about with some of the weapons that we have. Like I know the stuff will come up about J-Mo, and like, well, I don't know if it's gonna work here, but like there's never that question with St. Brown because it fits so perfectly with who Goff is. And then he's elite after the catch now. It's like
Yeah.
he may not be like the fastest, but he's so big time once the ball gets in his hands now. The amount of times easy, and you see this, everybody sees it when like it's 3rd and 15, he catches for 10 yards. I think we saw in the NFC Championship game, and then he like falls forward and still gets the first, and you know he shouldn't have got that. The throw was short of the first down. The route didn't even get designed to go that far. Everybody that's trying to get that far is not open, so he checks it down. He still gets the first down. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy stuff that he does. Where it's like, yeah, you got to pay that guy. He just fits perfect for what we are.
You got to, man. And then especially like there's so many reasons why he's just like worth that. Another thing I'd point out too is just like I feel like in today's league, there's just so much more like zone coverage versus man. Like I feel like
Absolutely.
that's where he eats. You know what I'm saying? And like it's a perfect example of it. I mean, you mentioned Jameson Williams. Like Jameson Williams is faster. Like you expect that he would have like the production, right? But like no, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown because he just knows how to find the holes in these zones. And then afterward too, it's the yak, and I think that's why the yak is so important and like the zone coverage schemes that we're seeing a lot more these days too. But Amon-Ra, he's got the value, and on top of this too, you want to talk about a skill set that's top 5. He has, I mean, some of the best like sure-handed catches like in the league, in my opinion. Like without a doubt, that is top 5, borderline top. I mean, honestly, I would say top 3. They may not be the most like circus catches, but he has those too. Like I think he had one between the legs last year. But
yeah,
I put him top 2, to be honest with you, just his hands in general.
Bro, I think it was the Rams game, and I was like, yo, that was like the most ridiculous catch from St. Brown. He ran like a curl or something, but it was like he just took the ball from the guy on the outside. He's like lined wide, and like
Yeah,
just that alone, it's like okay, not every cornerback would I want to put him wide, but because he can do it, I can go into the game and say like, all right, we want to get him on your wide corner, so we'll just play 2 receivers. We'll get him against the Chargers, like he just
yeah,
ate on the outside. But then it's like other teams that don't have a slot because not many teams have 3 good corners. We'll just let him eat there. So then it's like you have to deal with like, okay, now we got to follow him. But yeah, you're right because it's like, and it's also he doesn't really get, I don't think, as many opportunities to make the ESPN catches because his awesome grabs are within 15 yards. They're not
yeah.
30 yards down the field. They're 15 yards. It's a curl or something, but they're still insane. And then obviously, then it's just a clutch aspect too. Like anytime they need something, it's go to that guy. I mean, if we know it's man, just throw it to him 1-on-1. We just at very least is going to the ground. No one, he's not picking it off. The dude's gonna take it from him. Yeah,
Then, dude, I can't. This is how I mean. We ended up. I mean, I know people want to talk about golf. I promise we're going to talk about golf.
we will. Yep.
We talked about it at the beginning of the stream. Like, I don't know how long we're talking about the Amon-Ra St. Brown thing. It's like, who's opposed to it? But I just keep thinking a good thing he does too is like, I remember specifically when I asked Summer Moore, because sometimes, like, what's the difference between like a ball that's delivered on the spiral and the ball that's kind of like how golf is sometimes? I was like, does that make a difference? Like, would you rather, what's easier to catch? And obviously, he said the spiral, but it's still your job no matter what to catch the ball. And obviously that was something that J-Mo struggled with when he first got here was like getting used to like how the ball's delivered from Jared Goff. Well, it's another thing Amon-Ra was able to do, not on top of being able to like secure the catch, but also like locating it. You know what I'm saying like in the wherever it may be, because like he's amazing at it. And it was, if we're being real about it, the Jared Goff situation, it's not the prettiest balls. And he's able to make the catch no matter what. but it's like close to the ground. And no matter where they are, he's always bringing them in. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, here's to you, brother. Hopefully you get the bag you're looking for. I'm guessing somewhere like 27, 28 million.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, hey, the receiver contracts, just real quick. Anybody just joined? How y'all doing? Average a year, Tyreek Hill, 30 million a year, probably won't hit that number. But then it's like some of these other guys, like because of his age too, it's like, dude, he's gonna push at least 25 to, like you said, because AJ Brown, 25 million a year, DK Metcalf, 24 million a year. Like he's gonna, at very least, he's gonna hit that number. He'll probably reset it though, because I mean, the cap just went up 30 million. So it's going to be hard to not give him more than that. And then he hopefully keeps jumping. I was looking at a thing for the Goff thing, which we're about to talk about, where they're projecting it to almost be 300 million in 2026, which is just insane. I mean, that's 50 million more to the cap. So it's like at some point, it's like who even cares? You know, it's like, and the other thing that I'll say to a hot rod, because this is good. I need someone to tell me why this shouldn't happen. Chat, please let me know why we should not sign this guy. This is like how I touched on. This is what I would have thought. Like, that's crazy. But he's not even a slot receiver. He's a number one receiver. He doesn't just play in the slot. He plays everywhere. And then on top of that, I mean, who else puts their receiver at running back? It's not like this guy was doing this back in college where he's like, hey, give him a couple carries. He used to do that. It's like, dude, this isn't who's that? Oh, who's that one guy out of West Virginia? I can't think of dude's name. It's a super
Tavon Austin.
Yeah, Tavon Austin. Like, you don't think of him like that, but yet he's the dude's like, oh, give him a little jet sweep. You know, keep faking that to him. Then we'll put him at running back for some reason.
Yeah.
They'll put him at running back, let him run routes out of the backfield to give him on a linebacker. And because he's so darn good at playing all the spots and then all the things that they talk about, which I think a lot of times as fans, we can't really see it. Like, we see the end result. But when they just talk about like the route running and like the feel, like you said, with zone coverage, and it's like, oh, they're doing this. Let me get open like this. Yeah. Like all of that, because he can play literally everywhere, is crazy. I think that's what Josh does really well. To me, that's where Josh Reynolds gets a little underrated, is his timing. Whenever I watch Josh, I'm like, yo, his timing is on point. Like, he lets everything kind of clear out. Then he like finds this little hole to get open what they're trying to do. But St. Brown does that everywhere. So it's like, no, that's and to the point you said real quick, you said you think more teams are playing zone. Now that's absolutely true. I mean, now it's like 75% of the league average is your zone on every snap, right? So it's like majority of the time you're playing zone. There's a lot more two high safety. So again, that plays into that's where he lives. He doesn't live deep middle. He lives
in the yak after the fact too, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
I was gonna say one more.
Go ahead. Yeah, say your thing, man.
No,
my bad.
It's gone.
I blew it.
All right. It's gone.
Gotta go to this camera now.
Hey. What the fuck?
That's crazy. If you didn't know that was a thing, that'd have been wild. Like, I got a camera in there or something. That's crazy.
Dude, what the hell was I gonna say? I'm so bad. I for sure have CT.
I was talking about it as like football intelligence as a receiver.
So I was gonna ask you this because onto the point that Hot Rod made, like 25 mil is a lot for a slot receiver. I've always been of the belief, like, I don't care where he's. Like, I remember Tyreek Hill was like, oh, he's just a slot receiver. It's like, well, it doesn't matter if he's producing. Why does it matter where he lines up on the field? Like, I don't believe in that thing. Like, I look at it as you said, like, you have your receiver one. Like, who's producing most for you? That's what the conversation should be. I don't think, because I meant to have this conversation with Braylon, and I know you've done more study on X's and O's than myself, so I guess I could ask you too. When people make those comments, like, oh, we need an X receiver versus like a slot or whatever, like, what are we doing there? I guess, like, what does the X receiver provide? Like, you just want a longer body guy? Is that what an X receiver is? Just the tallest guy on your team? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I mean, those are the guys that aren't moving.
Run those routes and still produce, right? Like, it's like, I don't get it.
That's it. Like, I think that whole idea is like so based on your offense too, you know, like, because to what you said about Tyreek Hill, if I look at the Dolphins, the way that their offense is built to be at its best, that dude is perfect for their offense. It's also the same reason why it wasn't like, we got Tyreek Hill, let's get a guy that's fast. It was like, no, you already had drafted Jalen Waddle. You have your speed guy. You didn't need Tyreek Hill, but you did for that offense. And now it's perfect. That's why I think St. Brown, to what you just said, because the Lions are one of these teams that'll kind of like zig, you know, like in today's NFL, where, to what you point out, like, okay, slot receivers are basically your normal personnel. Most of the time you play 3 receivers, right? Yeah. But for the Lions, they're one of these teams that'll kind of go like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to play 2 receivers. You know, we're going to go 2 tight ends. And I think that makes them very tough, because now you can like, how do we match up with the dang tight end? But once they do that, then certain teams, they'll just put St. Brown out wide. So it's like, he's still playing that role. And I think to what you're saying about the X receiver, like, I think the idea of the X, right? Because the X receiver can't move around. So the X receiver is the guy that can't go in motion. He's stuck on a line of scrimmage. So you're like, okay, he's going to have to deal with the press. He's also in a wide alignment. So from the slot, it's going to be much more difficult to jam him. But from wide, like, I can jam off the line. So I think that's where you think of like the long, big body, physical, Peoples-Jones type of build. But it's then, to me, again, it's like, okay, that's great. but that doesn't need to be your highest for the Bengals. That should be your biggest investment because that's how Burrow lives. Like he's gonna live, he's gonna eat out there, he's gonna attack that. But for Goff, that's not where he's ever gonna live. Goff wants it condensed, he wants it a little bit closer to him, and then he can hit kind of the middle of the field. So St. Brown's perfect for this offense. This is why I think St. Brown is a top 5 receiver clearly for the Lions, not for the NFL, not for everybody, but for us he is because he just works perfectly.
No, I mean, So and I just want to be sure, like, so if you're an X, like, it's like you just can't. Oh yeah, because that's the guy. It's like, hey, ref,
he's on the line. Yeah, because I mean, the NFL is different. It's like college where you can have 2 on the same side, but so I mean, that's
you guys. So sorry.
No, I mean I used to like dive into that stuff too, and then I always feel like for me, I would always like make a bigger deal about little things like that. Like for example, when we were talking like Sam linebacker and stuff. Like I would always in the past emphasize like, oh, what is his exact role? Like, what's his title? And then it's like, well, when you step back, it's like, it doesn't really matter if the dude's a good football player. You get him on the field, you just adjust what your offense is. Like, we'll figure out the titles later. Dude just got to be able to play. And to your point, it's like, some spots, he's probably the X receiver. Now, he's not going to live at beating guys off the line of scrimmage and press. That's not what you want him to do. But like to also point, teams don't really do that anymore either. And then where you're aligning him at, you're stacking him. They stack him all the time with Khalif. It's like, I can't press him. He's stacked up with somebody else. And I don't know. I think if it fits our offense perfect, so I'd pay him.
Yeah, because I was one of that too. Like when you talked about when you get Sam linebacker, my brain was just like scrambled for a minute there because I'm like, I guess this kind of can go to like offseason needs or whatever. But like, I feel like we've had safeties there, or like I'm saying like because what we run specifically in that 4-2, like what is the Sam? Is it just like that 4th guy in the line,
the strong side linebacker?
Yeah.
So
are there reps without the Sam linebacker in there?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, and then but that's where the confusion I think can come in because you can have reps without the Sam backer, but if you're saying like James Houston a couple years ago, if he's the Sam linebacker in base formations where teams go multiple tight ends, so you're matching personnel because a lot of teams linebacker, tight end. Put an extra tight end, we'll put an extra linebacker. So now it's like, all right, he's valuable for that. But then to the point we just said, where it's like, okay, everybody's playing 11 personnel. So now everybody's got 3 receivers, which is like, why would I want a third off-ball linebacker if I'm going to play 4 guys on the line of scrimmage? Because now it's like, that doesn't match up at all. He's not going to get snaps. But then the flip side is like, okay, but if that Sam linebacker can find that role so that there's still value on those early downs if they want to play heavy personnel, but yet he's got value in terms of either he's going to kick to off-ball and cover, right? He's gonna play like Alex Anzalone on 3rd down. He could just go cover guys. Or if he's an elite pass rusher, now I just kick him down. It's like I never really have to take him off the field. Like
so it's basically that's like multifaceted.
Yeah, because like James isn't always that piece, because like we see it all the time, right? On 3rd down, it's like so like I'm not putting 3 linebackers on 3rd down. He's just rushing the passer. So yeah, I don't know. That's why I always think like for me personally, I know the labels would always like jack me up in the past because I'd overthink things like, oh, they can't draft that. They don't need that. It was like that with off-ball linebacker, to be honest. But then it was like, well, at the beginning of the year, they're playing him on the line of scrimmage. They're asking Jack to do that role without James Houston. So it was like, well, I guess you just find a role for the guy. You just find a spot for him.
That makes sense in that situation. Like I know a lot of people hated it, which I don't think he was great at rushing. Although he did have a couple of sacks, I don't think it even came from the Sam position. If I'm not.
Are you talking about Houston?
Campbell.
Oh, Campbell. Yeah.
He got those reps at Sam.
Yeah,
he wasn't great at rushing. Like he was at just in case. So that makes sense. Like,
yeah, I think it was almost like it almost felt like to me because of where Derek Barnes has gone like the last 2 seasons. And it's like, okay, so you're 3. We obviously got a lot better. So it's like, you got that guy, you don't have Houston, and then you have Alex, you're not putting him on the line. So it's like, let's just put Jack there. He's got the body type for it. He has better length. He doesn't have great length, but he's got better length than most of those guys outside of Barnes. But then that's why I think Barnes worked a lot better once they put him on the line. Because it was like, oh, Barnes doing really good at off ball. He's been doing this for years. Let's just keep leaving him there. And then it was like, all right, what are we doing? Let's put him on the line. And I think Barnes isn't a great pass rusher to me either. He wasn't a great pass rusher in college. I think that's why he moved off it eventually. But it's like he definitely has better length. So it's like against the run, at least I'm getting better. I think for Jack too, it's like they just felt he was so smart. And then speaking of the notes we have from all these pressers, they talk about like, oh, the guy, I think Dan Campbell said like in 20 minutes, we know like, oh, if the guy's got it, he said Jack Campbell was that guy. It's like, well, we know he's so smart. We can put him on the line because he'll be fine. I thought it was a mess when he was on the line. I thought it was a mess, but he was a rookie. So it was like, okay, that's not even his role. So it's
understandable. I remember there's one time where Hutch had to sit him to the other side. I don't remember. He had to sit like they lined up in the same area, and Hutch like grabbed him, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're not supposed to be here right now. Like, go down there. I remember witnessing one of those, but
yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Is that what you want to? You want to touch on that a little bit? Is the offseason? Do you have like a new thought on the offseason needs? I feel like you were kind of going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. I'm down to go wherever. What's hot, Rod? The offense took us to a lead in the FC Championship, but it seems like they need all the parts to click. Raymond out, Jackson out, Laporta hobbled, etc. Didn't help. Yeah, I mean, they had the lead though, man. I think it just, to me, I think I thought about this like afterwards too. You tell me what you think. The NFC Championship game. I feel like Purdy running was like the difference in that second half. Like I feel like he was trying to force those throws in the first half. And he was taking those sacks and he threw that one interception to Malcolm. Where like in the second half he just took off. And he started
Purdy. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And we really adjust. That's why I want a defensive tackle. This project to show up this year. So I just get the pressure in the middle. You know that.
Yeah.
Instead, because like if it's coming from the outside in the middle, the hole's right there. You're just gone. But if it's coming from the middle, you're like the quarterback's like, where's the hole? Where'd I go? Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, Purdy's legs were a killer. And then sometimes, like, it was like I know the specific play. I don't remember it that well. And I just remember the Alex Anzalone one where it's like Alex is that dude. Like, I'm glad we have Alex. But it's like, bro, what are you doing, man? You went so steep and then you ran around. You picked up a first down, kept the drive alive. We would have had it back. To his point, he's talking about offense. Like, I think that's true. You all things have to click. But also, you kind of made the opposite point as well. As like, okay, all those things were going wrong. Raymond out, Jackson out, Laporta hobbled. But it was like, bro, like your dudes that you relied on just didn't make plays. Like Josh Reynolds dropped 2 big passes. Like you just didn't make any darn plays when you were right there. I mean, I don't want to go back down that one, but like I don't know if you have like any updated thoughts on that. To me, that's all it was. And plus, even with all that being said, dude, you lost by 3 points. And it's like maybe if you score on that little run that you do on third down and you don't have to take the time out immediately, you might get the ball back. I mean, we've seen it. We saw it last time we played San Fran. We got the ball back. So that would have still been a possibility.
Yeah, Campbell touched on it this week at his presser. He said the one regret was running the ball. I think it was a third down or second down?
It was third down. Yeah, we ran on
third down. Yeah. Instead of just trying at the first down, or he shouldn't have wasted the timeout. And it made sense, right? Like get those 3 downs and then get your opportunity to score again after you kick the ball off to them if you don't get it back to this. But no, I still feel the same about everything. We watched it live together, and it's like the first 4th down they went for. I wanted them to kick it.
Yeah,
I still feel that way, obviously. But I mean, you can't deny the fact that like everything was executed outside of Reynolds dropping it. Laporta had the drop beforehand too, so it's like it's certain points, man. You gotta get credit to like the other team, and that's why like you have to say at the end of the day they were the better team because like when Laporta got rocked, that's why he dropped the ball. The linebacker hit the shit out of him, and he couldn't hold on. Yeah. It's like they made a play.
And then Gibbs fumble. I mean, Gibbs seemingly ran the wrong way, and then it's like he never took care of the football, and then he fumbled. Like, okay. It was immediate, flipped everything. I mean, dude, there was so.
What's going to happen all year too was like that moment. Like I don't remember him having any other fumble
against Minnesota. I remember he did against Minnesota on a big run. Yeah,
a fumble, but like running the wrong way, like the whole like.
Oh no, I don't remember that happening. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Like, yeah, and then defensively, it's like, dude, you have a pick. At very least, knock it down. Nope. I was like, no way you got that, bro.
I feel so bad, but like, it still makes me like die laughing to this day. Your dad, they did him so dirty on the street. He just like, got him. Yo, I still show up so focused on my man just breaking down. I was like, oh damn,
bro, he hates it. Bro. I'll show it to him on Twitter. Yeah, because like I'll like show him the people that liked it. So like people like around here that we know like will like it, and I'll be like, look who liked it, and then I'll show him the video of it. He's like, get that out of my face.
Yeah, because like, dude, that'd be the perfect meme for so many things. I'm like, is it disrespectful to use it? Because like,
it's so funny. No, I don't think it's disrespectful.
Okay, I'm using that meme every time, then for sure. Like next time, like I swing and a miss a DM, and the girl's like, no, listen to that, like, damn.
Bro, that was so awesome. That was so funny. So funny. Yo, we were trying to hype it up too. Oh my, just watching that whole thing back is so funny, man. You were doing some weird baby thing.
Me? Probably.
Like you were like you kept pointing the microphone like you were like it was a baby here.
You doing that?
You were like doing this, like.
Oh, what you're doing. Oh, I was like a fake interview or something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. I don't know what you're. It was just funny. That was so awesome. All right, man. Do you guys think we can make a championship run next season? All right, we'll hit this, and then I'll move over to the golf thing. Let him know, Easy. What do you think?
Do I think we make a chance? Yeah. Yeah. We man, I'm getting hyped thinking about it. I hate to wait so freaking long for the season now, but like Dan Campbell talked about it today or this earlier this week. It's like we're in Detroit Lions like 401 versus like Detroit Lions 101 because of the same like coaching staff coming back. Like no one's coming in new to learn a new scheme. Like we're just jumping into what we already were doing, and it was obviously already working. So there's no like get to know you phase. We're right back to like to the grindstone, putting the work in. So like that's like a beautiful benefit that we have, and it's not one that like many teams get because like look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They went to the Super Bowl. Boom, both coordinators poached. They weren't the same team that second year. The 49ers is an example too. They got their D'Amico Ryans poached from them. That defense wasn't the same either. Steve Wilds or whatever his last name.
Yeah,
Steve Wilkes. Yeah, Steve Wilkes got fired. It's like good teams don't have the benefit of like going back to the same coaches, and it does change them. Coaching matters a lot more in football than people realize. Like you could have perfect example is like what we had here in Detroit, and I made this comment during the season. That's why I love Ben Johnson so much. It's like once upon a time, and you could actually like on paper, you could say, in a non-disrespectful way, but Stafford was better than Goff. Calvin Johnson's better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. We had Golden Tate on top of that. We had Dominican Sue. We had freaking Glover Quinn, Darius. Like we had a stacked roster.
Mm-hmm.
The coaching wasn't there. Like you could argue that like the roster that we have now, although I think it's more filled out with like quality pieces, is lesser than what we had in like 2014. But we went further this year because of coaching. The coaching really matters, and like for us to come back this year with the same coordinators, like it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing we have, even for the new guys coming in too, because everyone around you already knows what the system is. Like, oh yeah, it's easy. I got you. Let me teach you.
True. Yeah. So then that adds even more value to their whole like thing is like, oh, we're gonna re-sign our guys. To what you just said makes that even more valuable. No, I'm with you. The big two differences to me is one, coaching, because like the amount of offensive coordinators we went through with Stafford was crazy. It always felt like we had a new guy in there. That was just a mess. I mean, I understand the Patricia new defense coordinator thing, but to me it was like, all right, he's the defensive guy though. But offensively, man, we just kept rolling through coordinators. Like we hit on something for a minute with Cooter, then it died out, and then it was like with Bevel we got something, then he became the head coach and he got fired. But like with Ben Johnson, and then the other difference would be the trenches. It's like they definitely they started to try to like hit it, but it was like it never like came all the way through. And then I don't think it's almost like they didn't they like wanted the identity of like we're gonna run the football, like when they signed Blunt and things like that, but it's like they never hit it properly. Like they wanted to do it, but then it didn't work, and it was like, all right, we're gonna throw the football again. So it was like, all right, we kind of like went halfway in, but we never really connected. And then like Rick Wagner and things like that, who he signed, it's like they didn't really pan out. They definitely try to hit and fix some of those answers in free agency, which feels like a big difference in what we did here. All right, what up, Kurt? How you doing, man?
What up, though, Kurt?
What's up with that playoff run? Yeah, shout out to Kurt being in the building, man. I can't believe Mike Vrabel does not hire. Oh gosh, I read that wrong. Cool, he was on the staff.
Did he?
You got any thoughts on that?
Did he even interview officially anywhere?
Dang, I don't even know.
Maybe Atlanta. I don't know if he took any official.
I think he did one. Yeah, now you say that. I don't know where, but I think he did one. Yeah.
Vrabel interview.
Paul, stop hating. Look here. This is my reasoning. To me, my favorite genre is horror and thriller movies. To me, this is it's not a horror movie, but I consider it a horror movie in the sense that it has the most like scary scene I feel like I've ever seen in the movie. Like I don't, movies aren't like it's hard to have a movie that's scary. I think it has the best like scary scene ever. So
what movie?
Like that's the Taken movie. I mean, that has like the best one, dude. I
want to judge you for it, but I got to rewatch it.
You got to rewatch it. The part where she gets taken, man, is like the that always hits for me, man. And if you watch horror movies, there's not like horror movies that actually scare you. That one always gets me though. So I think that's why it's top tier for me. And then it's it's a satisfying ending too. So it's not like one of the movies that ends sad.
I'm telling you, you have to watch Law Abiding Citizen, then you would love it.
Okay.
Because I know what the premise of Taken is. It gets daughter and he gets her back.
Right.
It's a revenge movie, right?
Oh, you just spoiled the movie. Okay.
I mean, come on, everyone knows.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't remember if you got her back.
No, you good, Ray. I just can't read. No, okay, I'm gonna check it. I wrote it down. It's on the top of my list here. I'm always trying to watch movies, so I got it. I'll check it out.
Good. And then there's another one too. I'll find it.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna throw the golf graphic up here. So go
Nobody.
ahead. Yeah, go do your thing.
It's kind of just like Taken, actually. Nobody's actually sick.
Wait. Are you talking about a movie right now?
Yeah. Sorry. The movie's called Nobody.
The movie is called Nobody.
Yes.
Oh, I've seen that movie. Wait.
Right? He's
Is that like a girl lead?
No. It's a guy. I don't even know his name. I'm terrible with actors.
What was this new?
I can't
look this up now because that. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I've actually been recommended to watch this before, and I didn't watch it, so I need to check it out.
That was a good one. I love it. The best is when you find a movie that you're not expecting to be good. You're just like, oh, I'll put this on, and then it's like amazing. I thought that was awesome. That's the best. And that's why I discovered that.
Those are the ones that I get posters of, like where I'm just kind of scrolling. I click something like, "Oh, that was fire," and then I get the poster because I was like hyped up. Yeah, if you're expected to be hyped up, it's not the same. Okay, here we go. So this is the Goff thing. Now this was a contract that was put together according to Spotrac, and they put together like a mock contract based on Jordan Schultz was on Bleacher Report, and he said $45 million a year. It's kind of just a number to throw out there. And he said that he wouldn't be shocked if he's a top paid quarterback in the NFL. Now, $45 million per year based on the way the contracts are currently set, because Dak is probably going to make from what I've heard, it sounds like they're going to pay him like 60, which is crazy. But so Goff at 45, it's not crazy. But also 45 right now would set him tied for 8th with Patrick Mahomes. That sounds nuts, but that's where it would set it per year. I mean, that's not high at all, to be honest. 8?
Yeah.
Okay. But then, it's all about like, this is why I hate that number thing. First off, as soon as you hear the number thing, it's never as high as you think it is. Like we'll go to I'll show the Jalen Reese-Maybe thing. It's like, okay, it's just not much there. And then you move over to this and it's about the timing to me. And it's about the setup. Like that's always the way that I always look at it. It's like, okay, how'd you set that thing up? And then how does it time out with everybody else you got to pay? And that's something that they actually like focused on here with this contract. So if you guys can see it, man, let me know. I'm going to zoom in on my end here.
This is I love
you might have to go full screen to see that. I don't know why it's so darn small. Here, let me zoom in on the page.
No, you're good. I zoomed in. Oh, yeah, you probably for everyone watching. I zoomed in on my screen. Oh, what happened?
Okay, dang, what we got? All right. Yeah, I think this is as big as I can make it. So this is the big thing that stuck out to me here. Tell me if anything stands out to you. First off, obviously they lowered the cap hit for 2024. They just basically got rid of all his base salary, right? Yeah. So when they gave the extension, they dropped the base salary 15.5. Their reasoning behind it was really the first 2 seasons, which those 2 cap hits would actually be lower than what his cap hit set to be next season, which is over $30 million. And when you look at his cap for next season, that falls like middle of the pack already. It falls below most quarterbacks that are legitimately getting paid already, where his cap percentage is going to be next season. So if they drop it to 15.5, he's basically getting like paid as a, I don't even, he's like below he's being like 20s. Yeah, it'd be an insane number. So they're dropping the base salary, and their reasoning behind it is that they want to lighten the cap hit because they know we have all these extensions coming up. St. Brown, Ali McNeil, maybe Derek Barnes, Ife Melifonwu. So we got all these deals coming up. To me, the first year then doesn't feel necessary then that you do that, because it's like, okay, it'd be, affecting 2024, but those new contracts won't affect 2024. They would protect 2025, unless you're now shifting their new deal. If you're taking and if you're extending this offseason, and you're adding to the rookie deal, then I guess it could affect that. So that's the reason behind it for the first 2 seasons, which is really low. Second thing I'll hit on, obviously we had the cap jump. The second thing I'll hit on is 2026. They're projecting the cap number over the cap is like $300 million. And that percentage of $64 million, which sounds insane, it's the highest cap hit on here, and then it drops again, would be 21%. Now, that's a lot. I'll show you a graphic for that. That's a lot. But I think what stands out to me is that, like I touched on with restructuring, it feels like it's a very easy opportunity to restructure. Number one, there's a legitimate kind of an out that starts to kind of come into play here after that 3rd season. But then also, the base salary jumps to $25 million. And then what you could see with the dead cap and they have the big roster bonus in 2026. They're now creating an out where it's like there's not only an out, but there's also a way to just restructure his deal, because he has so much base salary. $75 million from 26, 27, 28 is just base salary. The void year that's thrown on there is only $5 million. So now it's like, if we just want to take that number and the cap doesn't rise as much as we hope, they could just drop it again and then push it out. So to me, that's how I look at it, is that there could be an out, really. They start to open up the door for an out, but it's really that you can just restructure it again. But then you get into like, I don't know what he's looking like at 32. I mean, I'm assuming he'll be fine. It's 32, but
is that what's the dead cap column? So like if we made that cut,
that's what you'd be paying to a guy that's not there.
Like so say 32 comes around and it's like right before he's officially like the new league year hits. That 47 is like what we eat if we move on at that point. I'm
Right.
assuming. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah.
well, you're saying they're probably just restructure. If they end up keeping them, they're probably just restructure that either way.
That's what I would think. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if that cap is if it goes to 300 million, it's still 21%, which is a ton.
Yeah.
And then they need to open up cap again. Yeah, I would. Now, I mean, who knows? Lions are going to look like a 2026, but
Yeah.
based on how they also set up their new contracts, they're. I mean, they could have a ton of money again. But
I've
yeah, I mean, they keep hitting the draft. So go
to
ahead.
be honest, like for what we have right now, for what we're trying to accomplish right now, like I like it. I don't think a lot of people probably expected to hear that, but yeah, I think if as long as you have that option, almost. I mean, obviously, it costs you something to get out of it, but like you have that option to move on in that 2026 year when he's 32, or like he's going to be a little bit older. We don't know what the situation is going to be here as offensive coordinator Ben Johnson goes. And that's always been like my biggest fear is like a reset in the market or like matching some of these deals we see right now at quarterback with JG is that like JG works when you have like the right system around him. You know what I'm saying obviously like works really really well when you have the right system around him. He's been to the Super Bowl with Sean McVay, obviously the NFC Championship with Ben Johnson. But don't forget, like we once upon a time we had Anthony Lynn or when he had Jeff Fisher. Like that's not what we saw out of him. It's like it is really scheme heavy, and I'm not trying to take away from what he does because like he was whipping that thing in the playoffs. Like it was a different version of him in the playoffs. Like I talked about how Amon-Ra was catching some of those wobblers in the playoffs. There weren't many of those. He actually was whipping that bitch, and it's at this point too with the Ben Johnson scheme. He knows it like the back of his hand, and you could see that this year. He was so
Right.
damn comfortable to the point where like he was like running at times. You know what I'm saying? He was tucking the ball and scrambling or like going for it on sneaks. And that goes to say how confident he was in running it. And he also made a couple like daring throws that like typically I wasn't used to seeing out of JG. He's truly like a better player than he's a better player now than when he got here. And again, I think it's part of like knowing that system, being comfortable in that system, and that so he needs maybe a hat needs to be tipped to that too, because like to him and Ben Johnson that because like not every quarterback is that way. There are guys that are more skilled than him that just don't know the system and can't get the system down. But Ben Johnson, that's why he's a great coach. He's built that system, tailored that system around JG and his strengths. So like where I get nervous is like what's the future with Ben Johnson? If we lose Ben Johnson and we're paying this guy a crap ton of money, I don't know what's going to happen at that point. But year 3, you have your option to bounce out of that. I'm here for it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. It's a lot of unknown. It feels like there. Like to what you said, like that whole first year was was a disaster. We had around him too, so it was like, that team was a mess. And then we also didn't have Decker either.
Got a hold of him. It was
Right. It was and it was weird because like Dan Campbell was play calling. We know that Ben was involved at one point there where they were like giving him credit, but it was like what was he actually doing? We don't really know. We just know that he was impacting things when Dan Campbell took over play calling. So we kind of can assume he was the offense coordinator. I think the positive is that to like what you also point out with the LA Rams, like he was really darn good there too. To me, first off, to any of the contract questions, to me, this is a graphic that I think we used at one point earlier, like weeks ago or something. To me, like this says it all, to when you just look at the cap percentage alone. Goff had the second highest in the playoffs, went to the NFC Championship. So we already know that we can get to the NFC Championship. I mean, we could have easily won that game, So essentially, like we know that the possibility of going to Super Bowl is not crazy with him having the second highest cap hit in the playoffs. So knowing that just means that I don't really care what that cap number gets to. I know that I can get there with it as long as we can hit on draft picks. Like that to me has been the recipe. And it's kind of like,
yes, that's the back half of it, right? The draft picks, because like, okay, we're paying this guy a crap ton of money, but if it's surrounding with rookie deals, and Brad Holmes, God bless him for grabbing not just rookie deals, but guys that are contributing to these wins on these rookie deals. It's just a perfect recipe. It's like, okay, if you're gonna pay this guy all this money, have a bunch of people you're not paying a shit ton of money to. Those are those rookies. Sorry, I can't talk to you, but
you're right. I'm glad you picked that up. I'm just using this as a background thing. I'm going to show the Jalen Reeves-Maybin contract here in a second, but to me, like the whole Jalen Reeves-Maybin contract and where that number looks big, because it's not like it wasn't a cheap deal for a linebacker, but even if you view that as like a large deal for a special teams player specifically, to me, that's also the reason why it works is because you've drafted so well. And when you start to compare where his cap hit actually goes, Jalen Reeves-Maybin this next season, in comparison to the other linebackers on our team, you're like, oh, it's basically the same as Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes, both draft picks. So it's like because you've drafted so well, and it's not that that they're necessarily just getting the impact of like, well, year 3 they pop certain guys based on when you draft them, but they're year 1, year 2, year 3. They're getting guys on day 3 that are popping year 1 and year 2 because they're getting such immediate impact. It's like it's not even like a process of having to wait, but now because you've drafted so well, you can wait. Like they're outside of your first round pick, like it wouldn't be the worst thing if our second round pick this year was not that impactful year 1. If he was a role piece, depending on where you drafted him, you would be fine because you drafted well around it on the years prior. So it feels like you build up such a fast foundation that now you give yourself leeway to be like a normal drafting team where it takes time to progress. But yeah, I mean, it's the reason that all this works, because now you know that regardless of whether you think Goff is a Hall of Fame quarterback, which he obviously is, or if you think if you think Brad Holmes is just an incredible drafter, it works. So as long as you follow the same dang plan, it doesn't matter what that number is. As long as he's not getting paid 20 plus million more than the second guy, you'll be fine. And that's where that contract lays out is by that time, dude, if Dak Prescott's making $60 million a year, his cap in 2026 can be like $90 million. It's going to be insane. But then also the point to that is the same thing as like, I think they did it with the Jalen Hurts contract. They did it with the Mahomes one, where they just like basically knew that they're going to restructure at some point. Like we gave him 10 years. Dude's not staying on a 10-year contract. Probably will make more money. So that's what that would set up is like, okay, that we can just, move the deal. So that's the big thing there is the cap percentage to me. And then I want to touch on this because just real quick to what you just said about like, how well he's played in this offense. To me, these are like the notes that I had made when I kind of put this together of like, okay, where if I feel like he's improved. I put footwork in there, in their progressions-based offense. What stands out to me is the middle part, though, because we just talked about St. Brown, right? Scheme fit, St. Brown, Laporta, they're perfect for him. Same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs. By the way, I'd love to see Gibbs more in the passing game. All right. Brad Holmes touched on Jahmyr Gibbs' usage as a running back in the vision. I would love to see him a little more in the passing game still, but the middle field attacking, and they've also taken out seemingly certain concepts.
What is the 82.3? What is that?
So that was his PFF grade, and this was, what was this graphic? Hold up, let me see what this was. This was deep pass. No. This was no play action. Yeah. So this was no play action this past season. And I brought that up, I think, because, that a lot of times becomes a story. It's like, he's really good play action. We know that it's where he's really strong and he takes care of the football there. But it was like, hey, we're not even doing that. And he also had a ton of, I don't remember the exact number was. It might be on the top here. No, it's not. I don't remember the exact number ones, but he had like a ton of passing attempts from non-play action, like one of the highest in the league. So it was like, he's doing it a lot. And then he's also being very good in those spots. Now his interceptions jumped up. Those are the same thing with touchdowns, to be honest. Like, I remember we had some crazy touchdowns. We're like, oh, that was a lot of what the guy would do with the ball. But like some of the interceptions were like, oh, dude got knocked off the route. Laporta's picked off. It's like, well, that stinks. Or the one where you heave it on a fourth down. It's like, yeah, exactly. Right. Those things piled up. Like it was a 3-game span where he had like 9 interceptions. And it was like, okay, that's where those numbers come from. But PFF, who grades the plays individually, they loved him when he wasn't in play action. So that's the whole thing, is that there's certain throws, like I can remember, and we probably do some variations of it, but the amount of like, play action 5-step plant, and he would like wait for this big dig to come across, and they still do all those concepts, but it was like there was a lot of times where Goff just wouldn't pull the trigger, and I feel like you've seen a lot of those things kind of pulled out of the offense, that in 2022 there were certain throws that he wouldn't make, and that's why I think when you go down to the third level, actually, where was it be? I think, I don't even know if I put it on there, to be honest. It's just the fact that there's a lot to me to what you said, like where he's willing to just run. I don't see a lot of let me move this. I don't see a lot of like him not being able to get through multiple reads. Like you had a lot more throws last year than he had in the first 2 years here, where it was like the third guy and he would throw it way across the field. And it got us one time where he threw the interception and he took it back to the house. But outside of that, it was like he's coming way across the field, just trusting the dude's going to be open, and they would complete it and they get like 5 yards. But it was like he's not getting off of the progressions to the point that you made.
Yeah, he knows the offense like the back of his hand. It's and he's ultimately confident when throwing those balls. Like you said, like a couple no lookers this year. Out of Gacy. Like it just,
all right.
That's just how comfortable he is with the offense. And his receivers as well to go along with that. He is humming in this thing. And I thought about this while you were talking, because obviously we talk, how he eats in the middle of the field, and it goes back to like a little bit of the Amon-Ra St brothers podcast between Equinemius. Because the Bears played well against us this year in both games. We kind of got lucky in the other one, but they figured us out, in the middle of the field, and you got to think what they're doing. And it's only teams built like this that will be able to do this to us, in my belief, or I don't know, maybe down the road we'll find out. But it's like, okay, they dress that linebacker spot with themselves. They got Tremaine Edmonds. They're pretty stacked at safety with Brisker and the boys, and they just take away that middle of the field between the safeties and the linebackers, right? And like maybe teams will probably like wake up to that, or just copy what the Bears did, copy and paste what they did, game plan against us. But I think they also have the athletes to make those plays as well. and we can still run the ball too. I'm cool, bro.
I know what you're saying. No, I know what you're saying because I was on your guys' show talking about this. We were I think it was after like Baltimore or something, like when it was bad.
That's another example, right?
Similar.
Good safeties,
took away the middle of the field.
Good linebackers. Yeah, the middle of the field. They got it covered.
Yeah, and I think that's part of where the NFL is going just in general. Like that's why like my theory was like, hey, Jack Campbell, like I didn't really understand at the time, but like looking out now, it's like, oh, this can be the future of the NFL. Tight ends and linebackers, because everybody wants to play middle field. Everybody's playing too deep. That's where you're going to be open. So everybody's going to live there. And then it's like the teams with the elite linebackers, which was pretty much all the best defenses in football. Those teams are now rising. Where at one point it's like you can't pay a linebacker. Now all of a sudden it's flipped and it's like, dude, you got to pay the linebackers. You got to have elite linebackers. So in a way, I'm like, we're gonna look back and be like, yo, a guy that's 6'4.5" that can move is gonna be huge, just to take away the middle of the field for everybody, because it takes away all comfortability. I would say to that, it's like absolutely true. First thing I would say is Chicago. Obviously, they have Jalen Johnson. He's grown. He's been awesome. So them paying him. But I still don't buy, and I understand Tyreek Stevenson's stats were good. I don't buy their opposite corner at all. I don't buy what they have at number 2. I know Stevenson's stats were good. I understand they draft Terrell Williams day 3. I didn't buy it. I was like, these dudes were not dogs in college. And I could be wrong. I didn't think they were that good in college. I think, hopefully the hope has to be that some of that is, obviously there's certain teams where it's like they just don't cover well. You put St. Brown out there. But like that's where it's like, okay, J-Mo, this is why we traded up for you. Because we understand there's a third level threat. You don't draft a guy to be just vertically fast in round 1. You don't go to number 12 to do that. You can get Jalen Hyatt in round 3 if you want a guy that's just fast straight. The dude has to be able to win on the outside. Like, bro, you were a top receiver. You have to be able to beat guys and open up that route tree a little bit. Even if it fits, Goff better, you have to be able to win on the outside against some of those dudes. And it just felt like at times we weren't able to find those answers. So it's like, okay, let's go get Peoples-Jones at one point when Khalif was out. And I thought Peoples-Jones started to add some of that element. And it wasn't in a flashy way. Every time he caught the ball, it was like a slant. But it was like, okay, but he's winning outside. He's getting off press, and so it's like either you got to go get that piece, or J-Mo needs to take that massive step. Yeah, that'll help.
J-Mo, man. I mean,
he figured it out though. He did, man. He was making some awesome catches, like you said.
Yeah, he did. And I feel like that confidence is only going to build throughout this offseason too. Again, another guy going back that same scheme, same quarterback. Like it's a one-up for us making that championship run. And it's really just this defense I want to see turn around in the passing game. But
yeah,
football is just so finicky sometimes too. Like anything can almost happen. It's like you can't expect you to be perfect out there every single time. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to give credit to certain guys making certain plays.
And turnovers are like the hardest thing in the world to gauge.
Right.
Oh, there was like an article done. It was like 70% luck.
Yes.
It's like, bro, you can't predict any of these things, but it's like get tipped up, you didn't catch it, especially fumbles. Like I don't know where that ball is going to go. Are we going to get not? It's like, yeah. I hear what you're saying. The positive about the defense is at least as a whole, it's gotten better each year. Like it hasn't gotten to that point we wanted to get as fans. Hopefully, some of these coaching hirings, I think one thing that was clear, they went more veterans at coaches. Dre Bly was our cornerback coach last year. Basically, you went out and you got a guy, Deshae Townsend, who's done this. I think that's where he lives. That's especially his corner. You go get Terrell Williams, who Dan Campbell called maybe the best defensive line coach in football. It's like, and we had Todd Wash, and it was like, I don't know. We don't really get to see this, I don't think, as well, because we're like, oh, it's a draft pick, so he's just good. But I'll say, I mean, the first year of the defensive line play that we had with Todd Wash was pretty nasty. You're talking about Charles Harris had an awesome season. Aleem, what he turned into. Obviously, Aleem was awesome this year too. Levi didn't really play that much, but I mean, the defensive line, like they got a lot out of like, I don't know. Julian Okwara was like special for weeks there. So it's like going out and getting a guy that's like, he's done this instead of last year where they had a first-time defensive line coach basically in the NFL. It was like they got some vets back in seemingly to that building on the defensive side. Like, bro, we got to get these things right, especially because we're about to go add more pieces, young guys. We need someone that can develop these dudes. Plus, the defensive line coach Brad Holmes. So that's interesting.
And so, like, the one thing too that like I'm so pumped for Terrell Williams for so many reasons, man. Like, he has a track record behind him. Like, his resume speaks for itself. But on top of that too, like, just things he mentioned. I think I forgot to mention this in the show when I was kind of gassing him up too. But like, he mentioned like one of the reasons he came here. First and foremost, he was head coach in the Senior Bowl. One of the head coaches in the Senior Bowl, right? Am I right? So he's got a head step on. Like, everyone's kind of curious about Darius Robinson, Devondre Sweat. Like, he has like hands-on experience with those guys. And I've been told by Darius Robinson's like uncle or cousin, I forgot who it was, that like, yeah, the reason why he had the best like pass rush grade in any like all-star practice was because of Tyrell Williams. So Tyrell Williams is there now. But it's one thing that Tyrell Williams mentioned is like the relationship that he has with Brad Holmes, the relationship that he has with Dan Campbell. It makes those like because you have to have tough conversations sometimes to come down to like the ultimate truth to figure out what you got to do. We have that relationship between the two of them, and Dan Campbell reached out to hire Terrell Williams unilaterally from the Tennessee Titans, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm down. Let's do this.
Mhm.
I want to be here in Detroit." It's just I think he if I don't hate. I'm not an AG hater. I've never been. I've always kind of been defending Glenn. That's been my thing. I think you got to like look at like what he's been given to cook with. But like AG comes up slight. I feel like Terrell might end up being the defensive coordinator, man, because it wasn't an AG hire. And Dan Campbell said in the podium like this past week too is like I want my position coaches to feel like they're the head coach in that room. And I got to assume it's the same for the defensive coordinator itself, where like a lot of these hires made on the defensive side of the ball were probably in collaboration with AG and Dan Campbell. No, this
Yep.
situation was Dan Campbell went and contacted Terrell Williams himself and wanted him here. And one of the things he mentioned too, he has experience in game planning, and this again the track record too. Danico Autry,
Yep.
Jeffrey Simmons. I mean,
Yeah,
Dominic has
look
always
at that
been.
bottom list.
Oh yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't even see this.
The development they had. You just hit on Danico Audrey, Harold Landry, Arden Key, Jeffrey Simmons, Tierre Tart, Rashad Weaver.
Yeah,
And like I was just putting a look where he had been. No, I know Brad Holmes specifically brought this up when he was with Purdue. Like, dude, some of these names that he was around, some of the
Kerrigan,
best pass rushers in football. Yeah.
like he could mention like come
Favorite.
on, he has a track record, and like we have pieces where like they were supposed to be versatile. Like I feel like maybe it's like too many expectations put on him, but like I know Danico Autry kind of like played everywhere, inside, outside. Obviously, we have that in Josh Pascal. I'm hoping he develops that in Josh Pascal. I mean, the biggest name for me, I think someone will come naturally just in like year 2 of his career, Broderick Martin. Like get him out there and get him in the block so Aiden Hutchinson get to get those one-on-one matchups, or at least we're not getting freaking triple team. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Terrell Williams is going to be huge for this defense, man. And I think that's one of the reasons why Brad's been so kind of cheap on free agency because they do have a lot of faith in the coaches. And as we said earlier, like coaching matters a lot. And I look at like some of the cornerback signings he's made. Cam Sutton, okay, they came from a scheme or at least a defense that had a really good pass rush. Maybe Brad Holmes expected out of that defense last year when they brought him in. Same thing with Emmanuel Mosley. Obviously, he didn't get to play, but obviously 49ers have a phenomenal pass rush too. Like I think Brad Holmes expected that out of this defensive line this year in year 2 of Hutch and everything else and Broderick Martin, and he didn't get it. So the secondary was like not null and void, but they weren't able to be as effective as he probably planned on. True. In my mind, I guess. I'm just rambling.
I think that's a great point when you say schematic. No, I think you're hitting some big time there. And, you know, to that point, it's like you think about the investments that he's made to the defensive line, you can't even compare it to cornerback. They haven't really invested in cornerback at all outside of Cam Sutton. They haven't even drafted a cornerback legitimately. I mean, it was a 7th round pick to Chase Lucas was literally their only cornerback if he's not a safety. Defensive line, though, I mean, it was back-to-back defensive linemen. We've also now added Broderick Martin to that mix. You signed him in free agency. You traded for Brockers. You made him part of the trade. It's like you've just continued Josh Pascal, and it was like I didn't see that coming. Hutchinson, they keep investing in that over and over. So I think you're onto something there because I think that's important to say about the scheme because I think a lot of times I get caught in like, okay, well, like what technique are they playing? But to your point, it's like, yeah, you want to play all this off coverage. What stands out to me, and I don't know if you've seen any of that. I don't think I have any numbers, unfortunately, for this. This is Deshae Thompson, but all these coaches for the most part, I think the one that's different, I think, is Jim O'Neill, who's now our assistant, like he's some kind of senior assistant or something. But both of these guys come from defenses that a lot of aggressiveness. So like the Lions, they blitz a ton. So there's that aspect. So they fit in like schematically perfectly. And then you see a lot of the same coverage kind of ideals as well as like, hey, we're going to play off coverage. You know, sometimes we have some smaller corners like with Jacksonville, like we have some smaller corners out there. Yeah. And then to me, the big thing was this is, like what you're saying about development, to me, it's so clear. Like, I think when you look at the full stats, they're cool and they did some good things. What's up, Charles? I see you. Hey, Chad, we're going to get to some of your questions real quick. But when you look at some of the young players that they developed, like this one, for example, with the Bears, I mean, this dude is making it work with like who, but you also have Jalen Johnson, who's part of the development with him. Kendall Vilder was also in that mix. So a lot of these like young guys, it was like the beginning Deshae was a part of when he was there. Like, again, I think where he stands out is what he does with cornerback specifically. So I just had like different lists of that. And it's the same thing for the flip side. Cause I always think with college, it's like in the NFL, it's like the pieces that you have to what you said. If I go outside of veteran and free agency, it's not like, did that guy make him great? At times, maybe. But at the same time, you kind of know what you're getting. Like I know what he's good at. But it's like in college, when you're like Cliff Averill, Ryan Kerrigan, like those types of dudes, and then you're doing that at A&M too. It's like, okay, now you're developing these guys. So
right?
like to me, that stands out about both of them. And then the last point I'll say is
And then to the
guy
league.
like, go ahead, my bad, go ahead.
No. Keep going.
Last thing I'll say is Terrell Williams, to the point that you made, is you brought up Josh Pascal. I'm with you. You brought up Braddock Martin. I'm with you on all those because I think when you look at it, he's been around so darn long that he's kind of worked with all those different body types. Like he's had the Sam Backer, where they went out and signed one the first year that he got there as I can't remember what his position coach was, but he was with Miami. And then he was like working with Kiko Alonso and those young dudes. They signed it. It was like the first time they made a big signing. It was like this guy took off. So he found a role for the guy in the defense. And then you also had, kind of the big bodies. Like they had I think it was like a 3rd round pick that they had. I'm slipping my mind, but he was a big nose tackle that they had drafted, and he was working with him as well. And then he took off, and I got to remember this guy's name. You might know you'll know who it is if I can remember the name. Was it with the Titans? What was the name?
No.
I'm gonna go see if I can find it. But basically, like he had worked with one of those dudes, and it was like it didn't pop, but then he got there and it was like, okay, now it's starting to kind of come together. Let me see. I think I got the name here. Yeah, Jordan Phillips. Everybody knows Jordan Phillips. Slow starter, developed big time. Now he got let go. It was kind of a mess situation, but that happened after he left. Like he got let go after he left, and that thing kind of ended poorly. But I have it right here. Let me see if I can present this. Yeah, right here. Jordan Phillips, 6'5", 333. Look at his measurables and compare him to Broderick Martin, right? Round 2 pick, round 3 pick, both nose tackles. And it was like he worked directly with that kind of piece. So I'm with you. I think he's stepping back and saying to himself, it'd be great to invest again. And I would be fine if they did. I would have no issues. They went out, got Darius Robinson, who's chat saying, I love him too. But I think there's also the aspect of this is why he says you're going to build for the draft, because if you're going to build for the draft, you can't just continuously keep throwing assets to the exact same spot because you're going to run out of draft picks. Like I said, we don't have multiple firsts anymore. We're late in the draft. So it's like Josh Pascal got hit. Like you invested big time in this guy. He's got to hit. Broderick Martin's got to become something here. So it's like a lot of these dudes that haven't really popped yet, it's like we got to get some dude that's going to bring these dudes along. And if they're not, that's fine. At least we can step back and say it wasn't a first-time coach. I don't know if it was his fault or was the player. This guy's done it. So if it's not going to pop, great, we'll go add somebody. Yeah. But we're going to know. He's going to – we're about to find out if this guy has it or not.
Exactly. And, like, to be honest, too, like, no offense to John Scott Jr. and like, I'm obviously Lions fans. Like, I'm supporting him for you always. But, like, when he hit the – if you, like, did you watch his interviews ever?
John Scott Jr.?
I think he's kind of like soft-spoken, like
okay, yeah.
Or like I was reading some quotes from Terrell Williams and just like a little presser they had at Combine Tuesday. And he's like, they're asking like what kind of style. He's like violent, reminiscent of Dan Campbell when he first got here too. But AG speaks in the same violence. Like to get somebody that matches like what you're trying to do, and Terrell Williams feels that way. And I have high expectations for him and the pass rush going forward because he's here now. I really do.
I love that. No, I'm glad you kind of brought us to that because like that was a good thing to talk about live here. I'm just gonna hit on some of the things that the chat said. Hey, I'm not trying to hold you, so if you got a dip or something,
I'm chilling.
Okay. My man says thoughts on Darius Johnson. I don't know who Darius Johnson is. I think he's talking about Darius Robinson. I think. So
Darius Robinson.
I was gonna ask you this.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You want to know my thoughts that what he said? I can give you those in a sec. But here's what I was going to say. I was going to say, because today was defensive line and linebacker. Is there a player at either of those spots that is just someone that kind of stands out to you in this draft? Anybody? Like, is there like high, late? Like, is there someone that you're kind of like intrigued by at either of those positions?
Austin Booker from Kansas.
Yeah.
6'5", 6'6", wiry, long frame, but he's not weak. Like I've seen him put tackles on their ass and then still pursue and make a sack. He's got a long enough body where like I think he's gonna like be able to defend the run, although that's like a weakness for him right now. But he's really raw. He's just like a pull. I think I have it up right here now. Yeah, 6'6", 245 pounds. Obviously, I think we get the official numbers today because of the combine, so I'm curious to seeing that. But he reminds me of what he can be is elite. I think Max Crosby is a name I want to use. It's not fair because Max Crosby is one of the best pass rushers in the league. That's why sometimes I hate pro comps, but like I think he has that upside. Again, the guy's 6'6", like the arm length in itself is insane. He's just really raw though. Like the athleticism is there, the freakiness is there. He explodes off the ball. I think he's going to end up running a pretty fast 40. Actually, today it would have been today if he's there. I want to see what that was, but yeah, I think he's just raw to where he doesn't have like a second like pass rush move. Right now, he's kind of really reliant on that athleticism, but it worked to an elite level in my mind. Is this right here from the combine today?
Yeah, he had the my bad if you can't see it. He had the
No, I see it.
4.79.
What
He had like the 4.79,
we see
a
it
little
now.
bit of a lower 10-yard too. Let me see what that was.
Yeah, what was the 10-yard?
167.
So where do you want to
Your
be
boy
for
Darius down there.
10-yard?
What do you want it to be?
Edge is like where's like
I
where you're
think
like, oh yeah.
I think closer to like 1.6 flat. Probably. I mean, but at
Yeah.
the same time, if the dude's 6'6", it's like
Right.
unless he's covering a lot of distance. To me, the only thing about the 40 time is like I get why that's more important because they're immediately thinking, oh, get off. So it's like, okay, 10 yards, not 40 yards. But then the downside to that is there's a skill set to first step. Like it's not
Yeah.
just am I athletic, right? There's a lot of athletic dudes that don't get off the line well. It's like, what's your reaction timing? How much ground are you actually covering off the
Yeah.
line? Like, how are you reacting to the snap based on how the offensive line's moving? If you don't check the boxes of the skill set, you can't be a great athlete and get off the line. So he could get off the line extremely well and just not be freakishly fast. So
Yeah.
I'll just to point that out there.
Yeah, that's my guy. Him and Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy, everybody already knows about. I
Right.
like his lower center of gravity, but fit for the Detroit Lions wise, a day two pick. I don't think you could do it first round, but also Devondre Sweat. I don't know if he's a Dan Campbell guy. He's seen weight at like 366, which is like 3 pounds off from the combine record for like
Big
biggest
man.
tackle. Yeah, big motherfucker. But
Yeah.
if Roger can fulfill, I just want somebody to eat a double team or just what I'm saying, to eat blocks. And I
Right.
feel like at that 366 frame and how big Broderick is, I don't think you're gonna be able to do that like 3 downs and all game long. So give me two of those guys, let them rotate, and again, if that guy's getting double teamed every single play, Lean, who showed up a flash as pass rushing now, obviously got Aiden Hutchinson. Like, give me those guys just to eat blocks up. So those are my three that off the top of my head. Sorry if I was rambling.
No, I'm glad you went to that. I mean, to me, like the whole, I'm with you. Like to me, it's to what you just said about like how do you want him to play violent? Like that's exactly what I'm always looking for. Is like okay, who gets off the snaps, who blows someone back, plays behind the line of scrimmage immediately, and then it's like let's go from there. All right, now can he play like through a second gap? But it's like, dude, who's playing behind the line consistently? And I there was a dude that I was watching today. I mean, they're a little bit lower. Leonard Taylor out of Miami. He was someone that kind of stuck out a little bit, dude. Chat. I don't know if you guys. I mean, look, there are certain names that you hit. I know of the names. There's certain guys that I just haven't got to yet. Like, just to be honest with you,
Have you got any of those guys?
I've gotten to some. Yeah. Wait, who'd you name again? You have to go through.
Devondre Sweat, Austin Booker,
Yeah.
and Byron Murphy.
Yeah. I've gotten through a little bit of Sweat. I've watched a little bit of Sweat, but like to me, I haven't taken like a specific approach, which is why I'm like in a weird spot where it's like I could tell you about players that we probably will not draft, no chance. I've just been watching players randomly. But like just to give some different names because you laid those out. Like, yeah, I know, bro. It's bad, dude. Like someone was asking about tight end, bro, and I was like, well, I've done notes on like 4 tight ends. I've done reports like 4 tight ends.
Why?
I don't know why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't not because Brad Holmes will freaking go in there and draft a tight end. I don't know nothing about him because I was like, oh, we're not taking a tight end. And then he drafts one or linebacker. I've been watching linebackers because Brad Holmes will take a dang linebacker when I don't expect it. So I can't overlook anything with Brad Holmes anymore. But yeah, no, he stuck out to me. Let me see. Yeah. Leonard Taylor. I think I don't have my notes are somewhere in this book, somewhere here. But 6'3", 305. He was playing a lot of zero technique with Miami, and he was a dude that dude, he was just constantly living behind the line of scrimmage. So he was one of those guys that connected, especially when you talk about good length as well. Like they always talk about those guys in the interior. So he was a guy that I liked. Who was another one that popped? Brandon Dorless. Is that how you say it? You know who that is out of Oregon? Brandon Dorless. So he's kind of like a tweener because we're talking about defensive tackles, but he's kind of like he plays everywhere. So he plays on the edge and stuff. But he's one of the best pass rushers I think that's out there for an interior lineman. It's just like, can he play an interior consistently? And then the last one I watched today was Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State. And he took a second, but he grew on me. Like the dude does not look like he play on the inside. You like him too?
Yeah, I do.
He looks thin, right? Like you took that away too. He looks real thin in the lower body. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but bro, he's a crazy pass rusher. I mean, that dude, you just keep watching. It's like, I don't know how he's winning, but he's still winning. You know, like this dude.
Gravity, I feel like.
Dude, he does. He absolutely does. He doesn't get moved very much on single blocks. As a pass rusher, he's got like incredible slither, man. This guy's always on his feet. I think he's so fast to react. And what stood out to me is I think he has like elite agility. Like I think he's like a top type of, piece in that trait specifically. The dude just makes guys whiff. I mean, you're talking about big time offensive lineman that he faced at Ohio State too. So that dude was awesome. So those are some of the defensive linemen that I've went through. Obviously Braden Fisk. I didn't know if you have any thoughts on him. Fisk is awesome. This is great. At the Senior Bowl he popped. And it was like, who's this guy? Yeah.
So okay. So for me, for defensive tackle, I mean, like I've been looking at like again. I told you guys like a million times, like right. I want a guy that's going to eat blocks. I've been looking at more like the nose tackles, like the big body guys. And like Fisk,
Yeah.
as much as he's a beast, like I don't know, like how do you feel about that pairing next to a Linebacker?
Yeah, I wanted to see if I had my
Because
notes
I
handy on
looked at him.
Fisk.
I think he's like 290. I haven't done homework on him either, by the way. Yeah,
He's sub
290,
300, I'm
260.
pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, obviously off the charts athletically, but that doesn't always matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I guess that does.
See, I don't remember him popping as much for me when I first watched him, and there's obviously a lot of hype around him now. He had a great Senior Bowl, and then today it's like, yeah, if he tests on the top of everything, like you had the best vertical jump, best 40 time, best 10 yard, it's like, yeah, that guy's gonna get a lot of hype. That happens every year. It's like
Yeah.
I remember when Amari Barno came out of I don't remember Virginia Tech. It was like he ran so fast, we were like, yo, that guy, and then it's like I don't even know where he is anymore. That always happens, but Braden Fisk isn't that. Like this is a possible like top 50 type of player, so he doesn't fall into that category because he's been really darn good. I can't find my notes on it.
Probably.
I don't have an issue with it because like I'm with you. I'm always looking for the dudes that are like 300. Like I feel like in a way, like I'm like, oh, he's got to be at least 300 pounds because he's got to be able to play with Lee McNeil.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it's kind of like the thing that I had there with Michael Hall a little bit. I was like, he's handling it. Like it may not be ideal, but he's handling it. And if you can make it work, bro, it's like as long as I feel like the frame's there, we can put a little on him. We can make it work. So like, yeah, I mean, his size is probably fine. The biggest issue that he has is length. He lacks length big time. And that's something I know the Lions love in each other. I'm not saying it's everything, but they know they love length. And that's like, he's one of the guys that are actually different from everybody else, and he doesn't have much length. A lot of these other guys do. A lot of the other guys stand out in that, and you see it. He doesn't really bring that necessarily. So that's like his biggest issue, to be honest.
Yeah. Because I just like when I'm looking for these defensive tackles. And again, Brad already said he's not drafting needs, right? He's addressing the needs through like the free agency and whatnot. But like if one of these guys fall to him, he's like a BPA. If one of these guys fall and they're like they got great FBI and they just love ball, like he's gonna take them. So that's the guys I've been trying to find. But like schematically, I just want a big motherfucker to take on.
Braden Fisk had a top 20% burst is where he ended up testing in. Not today, but at the Senior Bowl, I think that's where he tested it in this year's draft. So, that's back to the first step thing. People were hyped up. Like, I didn't love the length that he covered out the ground. I think I was like leaning towards good as his first step. So, I mean, to me, it definitely didn't pop as much.
Does length matter to you at interior as much as it does edge? Like, I like it better at edge than interior. So interior, you're just barreling in there at times, unless you're trying to shed blood.
I think it matters like what you're asking of the guy. Like I think it matters if length becomes more important. Is this like, am I asking him to just go shoot a gap? And then I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I'm asking him to sit down and get off of blocks, kind of hold his ground. It's like, okay, now I might want some of that length. So I think it's that, but I also think length for the interior to me, unless the dude's like Broderick Martin, where he's so darn tall, it's like, yeah, his arms aren't going to be short. He's 6'5". But if you get a guy that's like 6'2" and he's got like 35-inch arms, now I think he just becomes an absolute problem because now he doesn't have the leverage issues, but everybody else in the interior can't keep up with him. So to me, it's just that improves their ability to just get their hands on first. So it's like, even if he's not off the line first, he's getting hands on you first. Now he's controlling the block, and then he can go from there. I think it becomes a huge advantage. Obviously, there's pass lanes, and then you could just talk about working stunts, things like that. But to me, it's just about getting hands on first. And on the interior, like if your guy's not that quick consistently, I think it brings them like a huge advantage. I don't think it's necessary though. But I'm with edge is usually where it gets to talk. But like Hudson didn't have great length, but he was he's pretty good. He's doing okay. So
yeah, exactly.
It didn't become an issue. I'm glad we didn't draft Trayvon Walker. I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking a look at, and I haven't looked at him yet. And I guess you have, because I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Rook or
watched him a couple days ago.
Or
yeah, there's like three times you got to do that. Let me see. Yeah, I was going through them a little bit. I went through a pretty good amount of games. So I had here's how I graded him out from initial, and I'm not finished yet. I had him with a very good first step, great play strength against the run, very good pass rusher, below average hand use, below average ability to shed, good body control, good close, poor football intelligence, or below average football intelligence, average flexibility, and a good motor. That's where my grades kind of came into some of my key traits there. So I guess from what I can tell without reading through all these dang notes is that I thought that he was a he was a very talented player in terms of he could play the run, he could play the pass, but
Yeah.
it was like consistency in terms of just utilizing hands, and then probably also just being on top of recognizing like where the run is going. Like I had one of my notes, running out of run lanes, offensive line scheme, not getting on top of it, poorly reacts to an offensive line scheme. So it's like things like that. But then it's like, okay, but he's got big time trade. There's a quick question. Brian Brzee last year, because this is going back to last year. Was that
Yeah.
a guy that you liked coming out?
I did like him. Yeah.
You liked him? Okay. What do you remember what you liked about him?
Similar situation, right? Like I just feel like he's a block eater. Like and I feel like he had a little bit of pass rush with him too. That's what again, I'm not working for the team, so like it doesn't really matter. But I just feel like that's like what I want to unlock a league. Obviously like you rushing the passer would be why would I turn that down, right? But like if I know I have that in a league right now, and like that's just like year one of him focusing on that. Like we get a whole second year of this. I just want a guy who's going to eat these blocks and open those situations up. And
Yeah,
I just want to play a role next to him. Like so Texas, like the whole thing they had when I started watching the film between T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy is like Byron was the pass rusher, and T'Vondre Sweat was the block eater, and it just allowed Byron Murphy more one-on-one matchups for him to eat, do work inside. So I feel like Brian Brzee brought that. He's big size, and I think he moved really well too. That's what I'm looking at so far. Like the Rook, I haven't watched tape on him at all, but I'm looking. It's like 6'4", 294,
290. Yeah,
34-inch arms. Like holy cow.
And then the key thing to keep in mind, though, which could be a concern away, he's a 5-year senior. I know we're seeing a lot more of this coming out of the draft, but like a lot of times, your top picks, like, oh, he just went out after 3 years.
He really does lack intelligence, like you said. You're nuts. I'm just kidding.
I just think it's something to keep an eye on because if I have knocks on that and he's played for 5 years, it's like okay.
Well, he's only 22 though.
Go. He's only 22. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. He probably, I don't know, maybe he didn't play his first year.
Yeah.
I don't on my notes here, to be honest.
What did you think of Brzee?
I didn't like him.
No,
I didn't like him. No, I didn't like him. But I hear what you're saying though, because I can remember like for me, and maybe I just didn't watch. I don't know. Maybe I didn't watch enough. To me, I didn't ever think he produced like that on the field. But I'm with you because it always felt like he checked all the boxes. Like for us, I'm 100%. It was so hard not to put him in every mock draft, to be honest, because it was like he just makes sense. Size, length, is like, put that guy. I mean, he fits. So that's where this year I've tried to adjust because maybe the Lions did like him. I don't know. But like for me personally, like I can remember just watching and I was like, I don't see it. So I never bought in. It was kind of the flip side with Jalen Carter. And I won't go down like that whole path. Like they made their decision. That's fine. I understand all the off-field stuff that we don't know. But like Carter, I can remember hearing like, oh, he doesn't get over. When I watched him, I was like, this guy's an animal. Like I don't see any of that stuff. And he had a great rookie season, but that's some of the off the field stuff that we can't control. So to me, it was like I didn't think Brzee produced on the field, but I can see what you're saying with traits, and maybe that's one of those things where it's like, okay, you buy into that. You're like, man, year 3, this guy's going to take off. I mean, Cam Jordan loved him; he's speaking super highly of him. So maybe in a couple of years, like we look back, that worked out. He just needed a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Brian Brzee like stats as rookie. I know he had 4.5 sacks, but I don't know what else he did and how many games he played.
Yeah, I don't.
Right
honestly didn't. I didn't find that's actually a good thing to look up there.
Yeah, 4.5 sacks, 9 QB hits. He played all 17. He just didn't start any games. I mean, that's solid. That's nice, though. No, from interior.
It's not bad. That's not bad. Hey, we know they like their D lineman too. It made a ton of sense when they took him based on his Lions fans how we thought he fit because it was like, oh, okay, obviously the Saints are going to go draft him. His PFF grades, he got a 30 against the run, a 67 pass rush.
Ooh, 30 against the runs. That's not good.
He gets the run. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of run defense steps, so it looks like he was like a third down piece though. So it seems like they got some value there. Nothing wrong with that. I haven't got to Mason Smith yet, the Ronin. I haven't got to him yet.
Darius Robinson. Neither of us talked about him.
Darius Robinson.
You watched him, and what did you take away from him?
Yeah, Jeff, you don't know. I have a video. That was the first breakdown I did with Darius Robinson. I bought in, dude. I'm sure you'll give your thoughts in a second if you've seen him, but like to me, man, it took a second, and then once I got through the games from this past year, and then I realized like, oh, he was playing DT the last few years. I was like, okay, I like this guy even more because it was like some of the questions that I had. I'm like, okay, there's certain ways he's not winning. I really didn't like his agility, so I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna make sense on the outside. But then when you talk about his length and his body type, and I'm like, he could play the Josh Pascal role. I don't know if they want to draft a guy on top of that, but they could put him in that spot. Like I was completely bought in because like all the other stuff, you see the effort, all of those things. I thought for him, he was so tough because he was so difficult to get a clean shot on. Like his ability to set up, run block, offensive line and pass rush too. Like you couldn't get clean hands on this dude, and he still was super productive without being able to consistently get the edge as a pass rusher. So I completely bought in, especially after. Oh, my bad.
No,
D-Rod's my guy.
Right? I think he had.
Yeah, he had a great. I mean, he broke out play in that spot, and it was like kind of reminded me. He's not, like I say, doesn't have his skill set's completely different than Aiden Hutchinson. But in a way, Hutchinson, who played on the interior at first and kicked to the edge, Hutch won. Is that typical edge rushers win? But this dude, in his own way, won, and it was like he's still finding ways to do it. So when I was said and done with it, I gave him a 6.7, which to me, that's that grade for perspective is just behind Austin Powers Johnson or Jackson. I don't even know how you say dude's name. The offensive lineman out of Oregon. Like he's just behind that guy when I got done with it. So I'm all in. Yeah, I think he's worthy of a 29 pick.
Oh, for sure, pick 29. Yeah, I guess for me, I sold myself more on him today. Because he's another 22-year-old dude. He didn't start playing football until like his junior year. And then if I'm gonna sit here and speak on like Terrell Williams and how much I expect out of him, like I think that's a piece that he could really mold. What do you think of his 10-yard split today, though? Or
it wasn't good, right? I think it was near the bottom.
Yeah, I think it was. I think he was actually dead last.
I gotta show you this. I have a okay. This is one of my notes page for Darius Robinson. All right, you tell me what you take away from this chat. Look at this. Tell me what you gather from this information.
Oh my Lord.
I can't even read this, dog. I don't even know where my numbers are on this, bro. I'm looking at this like, damn, let me just go watch that video back. Bro, I can't see nothing on there. But
I tried, but like it's like you'll make a list of shit and then like, oh, I know this, or like, oh, I said, I don't know, articulate things better the second round, or
it's a disaster. So I love writing stuff. I hate typing it, but when I write it, I can't read my own dang handwriting. But I can say I did outline the number. I really like this first step. So it's like, to me, that's where the number thing, like, it's not great, but I really like this first step. I give him a 7.5 on there. I mean, wow. It's a great score that I end up giving him for just his first step, man. I loved him there, I guess. I thought he was average against the run, and he was a very good pass rusher.
All
right, let me see. Love the same thing.
Yours are way worse than mine. But I have like 5 different notebooks too. I have like 5 of them that are down pages. Yeah. As an alternate, okay, yeah, the same way. Look, I got 3 of them right here.
It's a mess back here, dude. It's a mess.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if I have my ones on.
See, this is what I'm planning. I'm gonna Chad, I'm gonna rip these pages out, and then I'm gonna like put them in them like sleeves, and then I'm gonna like order them by name. That way, when the draft comes around, I have like this big book, and I look all official and stuff. That's my plan, because this is a nightmare, dude. I can't use it.
My one thing I will say, like, so like when I first watched them, I wasn't in love, but I had to remind myself that okay, like it's can you hear me, by the way? Is this on the speaker or on the microphone?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you're good.
So I had to remind myself that it's pick 29, so you can't be picky. And then once I found out, again, it's like year 2 for my man, I felt a lot better, because like they started playing football just junior year, because like there's a lot to mold there, and that's probably why he lacks like a certain like second-hand moves. Like to me too, I feel like he got like stuck up high sometimes too. It's just like standing there being big, versus like in bull rushing, versus like I don't know, like edge rushing. You know?
No, I hear you. I'm trying to move. My bad.
No, you're good.
My dang screen's stuck. Okay, I got it.
My notes are actually way near than yours. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, they're crazy. But this is brilliant choice. But like,
yeah, bull rush loses lower body leverage, so straight up into block.
But I feel like you can mold that. Like again, if I confidence Terrell Williams, like I say, and Dan Campbell literally called him the best offensive line coach in the league. I feel like I don't know.
That's the first note that I had.
Like I have no issue with it at all whatsoever. I really wouldn't.
Did you give up on finding your notes?
Oh no, I found them. I just kind of.
Oh, okay. I thought you gave up. Like, I get it.
Yeah, no, it's just.
Okay. All right, so you're not as high on him, is what you're saying. Like you wouldn't take him 29. Because you're saying like I'd be cool taking 29, but who's your preferred pick at 29 right now?
You have one. Pick at 29.
Yeah.
it's just this is like foreign territory for us. So we just don't know who's going to be there. It's really tough to like say, oh, I'd want this guy. It's like like there's obviously better prospects, right? But it's like you're thinking at least me, I'm thinking in my head like there's no way this guy's going to be there at 29.
Right.
But preferred pick, I have no issues with Darius Robinson. I really don't.
Okay. It's a digital notepad. You can write that up.
I think I've been talking myself into Ennis Rakestraw, but
yes, bro.
Somebody and I wasn't high on him beforehand, but then I rewatched him again because it's my fault too for like watching the highlights first, where it's not really like I'm doing that because like, there's a lot of him just making plays on screens, which I know like Dan Campbell and them will love, but I didn't really get to see too many coverage plays. But then I watched him against LSU, and I was like, oh, he's springy, like he's like actually quick, like a little rabbit almost, and then he's also like a savage when he gets there too. So I had to respect that, and that's a good team, LSU. And then the thing that made me a little bit scared about him was somebody told me that he tore his ACL in 21, and then this year he didn't finish the season because of an abdomen injury. I'm not scared. I'm not going to let that scare me away from him because I feel like he fits what we're trying to do, and I feel like he's good. So
you're bought in. It's the injury concern.
Yes. Yeah, I finally bought myself in.
Bro, and that's so tough, I feel like, as a fan to judge. Like, I mean, we can talk about it, but it's like, bro, they do all their medical stuff in the background. Like, do we think this is gonna pop up again? And as fans, like, okay, we know we got hurt, but that hasn't stopped us from drafting guys that have been hurt, especially Brad. Like, Brad's drafted injured dudes. Like, he's definitely he drafted guys that he knows aren't gonna play. So it's like he's signed injury. Emmanuel those over and over too. It's like, okay, we're cool with that. So I don't know. I mean, if there's a guy that was willing to do it, I'm with you. I'm with you though, because I wasn't. Is his name Ennis or Enos?
I'm gonna say Ennis.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna say too. Yeah, no. To me, at first I was like, I kind of like him, and then I passed on him, and then I went, and then I came back, and I was like, oh, bro, this dude's kind of nice. Like, and it was. Go ahead.
No, go.
I was gonna say when I was because I was like doing guys that are projected to go around his range, and then I went back to him, and I was like, oh no, he's on another level. like he's on another level as a player. That's how I felt immediately when I watched it. I saw the LSU game was the last game that I watched of him, but I like my well-rounded, a lot of zone usage. Yeah, I know I'm on board with this dude. This guy, and he looked bigger than his actual listed height. He's just over 6 foot, 188 pounds.
He plays big. He's a little bullet.
He does. Yeah.
And I just love like the thing too, especially nowadays when we talk about all these zone coverages and just like all these receivers. I think Yax is like going to be emphasized moving forward for offenses. Like I think he's obviously a sure tackler, and I think I like his quickness to get to the ball and his willingness to do it too. So if they picked him, I'd probably put him over Robinson for me. I don't do great. I don't do like numbers like you do. What number did you have next to him?
I didn't have enough. I haven't finished his yet.
Yeah.
I've only got 4 or 5 games in, so I haven't put the number yet.
Have you watched TJ Tampa?
No, I have not.
I haven't either. I may have a little bit, but not like a game.
No, I haven't got to him yet. But I use a number thing that we had learned with my last job. So I've been just using that this year because in the past, like I could write plus and minus and like take notes, but then I wouldn't be able to come back and know like how I actually felt about the game. I was just going off of memory, so it would always shift. So it's like even if I like every player that I got, like even like I said, the first note that I had for pass rush for Robinson was bad. But like at the same time, I still really liked it as pass rusher. So that's why I've been that's why I use the numbers, especially for traits. Like if you mark out traits and you number them and you grade them and then just use them for every player at that position, then you can come back and be like, okay, I remember how I compared him to him.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because traits wise, I love
so easy.
But
yeah.
Traits wise, I mean, dude, I was watching him at the podium. His shoulders were like a shelf. It was insane to see. Yeah, dude,
I didn't even see that.
Did you
works well through contact, so makes sense.
I mean, one guy, because Brad moves around. Did you watch Terrion Arnold at all?
I haven't watched Terrion Arnold. No,
because I know where he won't be in position to get him, but like Brad does move if he likes him. You know,
he does.
And I can't
count that out. Have you seen him though?
Terrion?
Yeah,
I did. He's got that like that smoothness. Like he's like real smooth. Like it's like one of the sexiest things I like to see out of a cornerback when like it feels like he's running the route for the wide receiver. Mm-hmm. It's like, damn, that was smooth. Like you mirrored every move. Like I almost got confused. Who was a receiver in that situation? Like he does that a lot. I feel like, and it's just and he's
Dude,
big.
that's why I loved Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
I thought he was the same. I thought he was that.
Yeah.
Like, bro, he was so smooth, so patient. Like
Yeah.
Witherspoon was fun. He'd make like blow up plays.
Yeah.
But dude, Gonzalez was so darn fluid. It was like, dude, this guy's awesome.
You know what? That's actually.
Yeah.
Have you watched Nate Wiggins?
I've watched it, but it was a while ago, so I don't know where my notes are. But I have seen Nate Wiggins. He's good. Yeah, he's good.
Like quickness, and he's able to like transition it to like if he has like a cut or whatever. But I was saying when you said that the Gonzalez, that and I don't know why this. Oh, you talked about Witherspoon. Would you say Rakestraw is like a smaller Witherspoon? Would that be a comp for you?
No.
Not as good.
I don't.
The ball.
Nah, I think it's hard to be like Witherspoon, bro. Witherspoon was so darn unique. That dude was crazy. Like he was so aggressive. It worked a lot, but he was so aggressive. So I would say to this point, I think I can see what you're saying to what you said, because where I don't think so. I thought he played with a lot of good patience. I would say because his ability to like read body language, I would say, is similar. Witherspoon was so good at like just jumping in front of routes, and it was like he ran that route literally before the guy even broke, and he was just standing there, and people like loved that. For him, I think that's one of the biggest things that stood out about him, is that he could get on top of breaks. Like he could like anticipate and just step in front of it. So I would say from that side, I would agree with you. And yeah, he was willing to tackle. Aggressive style is what I put down for one of his notes for run support. So he didn't make me think of Witherspoon watching him, but I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think just like the toughness.
Oh yeah, dude, those corners stand out. Like there's a guy, his name is DJ James out of Auburn. If you haven't seen him, definitely got to watch. I like DJ James, man. I think he's a really good coverage player. One second, I think I'm glitching here for a sec. Okay, there we go. Let me close it. But then I was like, but then you start to watch and you start to focus on like, okay, but is he gonna hit? Is he like physical? And it's like, I don't really see any of that. So I'm like, okay, they're probably not gonna draft that guy. I like how he covers, but like he doesn't play with his hair on fire, so it doesn't feel like a lion.
How about Kool-Aid McKinstry?
I have seen Kool-Aid McKinstry. Yeah, I liked him a lot. At the time, he was my top corner. He still is to this point.
You think he fits like what we're trying to do schematically though?
I think so. If I remember right, I can pull up I'm gonna pull up what I wrote down about him.
Real nice hair, nice smile.
Hey man, look, man, he likes to take a movie too. Favorite movie. That's wild.
I feel like he had that shiftiness. That's and I think it's not fair, because like when I'm grading a lot of these guys, I'm trying to think of like vision them as like CB1s, and I gotta quit doing that.
Right.
Like sometimes it's good just to grab a guy and maybe develops into something, or like he's just good with it. If I'm not wrong, I think he was only targeted like 45 times last year too, which is like it's pretty like, I don't know if it's by design. Teams are like, look, we're just gonna avoid this kid, or if he just was like, in coverage with that too. That's why I asked you.
No, I liked him a lot. I'm just trying to find this thing here. That's the weird thing about that though, is because I didn't even know like they had another corner at that time that was supposed to be like even better. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. So I need to watch him. But I thought McKinstry was like top tier of the class when I watched him. I was like, oh, this guy must be just because I would hear like, oh, this cornerback class isn't that strong. Then I saw him like, okay, this is probably the top of the class then. And I really liked him. So if there's someone better than that, like, dang, that dude's got to be an animal. I know I was way on board. I don't know where the heck my notes went. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I got some stuff from. I like him zone coverage, which I guess we do. I feel like we didn't play zone by like what choice though. I feel like that's not what AG wanted to do. I think this is what he's kind of forced to do.
Oh, so okay, man, I gave him a high grade. I gave him a high grade, dog. All right, I really liked him. I guess, dang. So you think that Aaron Glenn went to zone because of what, personnel, or is because?
Yeah, well, obviously some of you got to play, right? But like, I feel like Aaron Glenn by nature likes to play that demand shit. He wants to be in man coverage. He wants to blitz. And I just don't know if Kool-Aid.
I hear what you're saying. So you're looking for a guy that can play more man or more zone.
Yeah, and I feel like Kool-Aid can just like on like those intermediate routes, like quick cuts. Like, I don't know if he recovers well on those, but
yeah.
But he can't deny the production though. At least last year for sure.
This is like Here, I'll share. This is like the one darn quarter I have on this. I haven't put anybody on this one. See, this is what it's supposed to look like. You know, you're supposed to type the notes and then put it on the website. That way you can just go to the website. For some reason, I don't do that. I
have
just
your
leave
own
my
website
notebook. Yeah, I have a website. I gotta get my players moved over there. I have dosofdion.com. I pay for that, man, because it's like just sick to have. So I'm just gonna keep this. Let me make sure I don't lose this thing. Yeah, let me pull it up. Okay, wait, hold up. There we go. Yeah. So here's my Cooley McKinstry one. And it's like, what do I got? Yeah. Okay. Bam, let me go like that. That looks good. It looks cool. Yeah. So this one I clearly didn't do a ton with this one, but yeah, I just put my pros cons in there, and then I gave him a little, synopsis. Come on now. I gave him a 6.8, man. I gave him a 6.8. So I was all on board. And look at that. I put press man corner. Awareness to adapt to wide receiver release tendencies, well-rounded, excellent physical makeup. Transitions could be smoothed out. So that's kind of the point you made. Transitions, consistent footwork. Will get physical and stem at catch point. Be aware probably for flags. Speed not elite, but his balancing ball skills great.
That's a way better way of articulating what I was trying to say.
No, I mean it's the same thing though. I mean I just had wrote it down, so it's like it's easy when you write it down. But yeah, look, excellent zone coverage sense right there. Route combos.
Yeah, I think I was being picky because I saw the other guys that were better. I'm like, ooh, where he's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with Kool-Aid at all.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying though, because especially like the thing that stuck out with Ennis, I remember immediately was like, yo, this guy's like a really, he looks like a first round athlete. And the first time I saw him, I was at like a Red Robin dude. His name popped up at the bottom. I was like, oh, okay, I guess they do think he's a first round guy. But you can like see dudes that like stand out athletically. And clearly what I'm reading here, like that's not what stood out to me. I mean, will get stacked through double moves, average recovery burst and acceleration, and lose level run routes. So yeah, like I thought that was an issue as well. So
again, are we putting our expectations are too high? Is that what we're doing? Like because we want them to be better. That's where we're like, yeah. Or is it still a good pick at 29?
I mean, I think he'd be a good pick at 29, just based on what I put it. I'd probably have to go back and revisit this based on where I put it. That'd be worthy of 29 for me. But I don't think I've seen any mocks with him getting at 29. But it's like I don't think what you're saying is a bad thing though, because it's like okay. If he's not that freakish athlete, we just have to adjust it. I mean, Stephon Gilmore, is he a freakish athlete? You know what I mean? Like that guy was awesome as a man corner. So
yeah, we just got your website that we should be using, huh?
This is my website, man. Look, and here's the thing: you can put stuff on here.
What are you telling me?
You want to like, yeah, like I can give you like the login, or you can just send me the. If you want to put stuff on here, man, you can like upload stuff. That's what I was actually gonna do this offseason, but I didn't. At some point I will because I have all these notes anyway. But I was gonna like lay out the format that's like easy to follow, and then if you want to like do write-ups, you could do it, put your grade, and then put who wrote it. Put easy at the bottom.
I'll do that.
And just save it to there. Then you can always
go back. You look at me right now. Like you said, I'd rather go to a website.
Like I feel bad. Like I know, and then I can't read it to anybody in the chat because I'm like, yo, hold up, let me go find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel. Charles says Brian Thomas. No, yeah, I know. Brian Thomas is different. Have you seen Brian Thomas?
I've seen highlights. He's gonna be a beast.
Watch him against Florida, dude. That's the first game I watched.
Yeah,
he's insane. Because I had just watched Donnie Mitchell, Keon Coleman, and I was like, all right, let me check out Brian Thomas.
Yeah,
different level, bro.
I haven't allowed myself to watch receivers. I don't know if that's what we're gonna do. At least like the good ones,
I feel you there.
It'll be fun to watch, bro. There's so many good receivers in this draft class, though. Like KC.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
KC's about to. I'm telling you, man, they're about to grab a receiver, and it'll be a problem. Well, I mean, obviously, they're probably now. Yeah. They're gonna get one of these guys, man.
No, that would make sense. I mean, shoot, that would make sense where they're sitting. They always get darn good players, bro. They got a dude I liked last year. Who was that? Edge rusher. I can't think of his name, but they always get good players. Bro.
Yeah, from
yeah. Purple. Yeah.
Yeah. Doomsday?
No. It was
Amatata?
Dang out. No, I don't remember what his name was, bro. You're right. Voice to text. Nah, see, that would be crazy. That'd be crazy. I like to use Grammarly, so you know what I mean? Like I like because my English is trash, so it'll fix it for me.
All right.
Hey.
Put down Austin Booker. I need you to watch him and let me know what you think. Because I'm in love with him. I fell in love with him. I don't know about the combine numbers, though. I in love with those.
Okay, that's all. I'll watch him next. Austin Booker. I like that.
And then what
That's
do you
good.
do if you can't find tape on YouTube? Do you have a
I
site?
have
You
to
do?
tell you some stuff off stream.
Yeah, all right, cool.
It's hard though because college is not the same. Like in the past, I could get every single game, but they don't do that. You know what I mean? They don't let fans have college tape. You're not supposed to be able to get it. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know why they do that. You said Austin Booker. Yeah, I haven't gotten any of the depth of the edge defenders. Wait, Braden McGregor's in this draft? Have you seen him out of Michigan?
Yeah, the white dude with tattoos.
Dude, he's got to be a dog, right? I remember him being a dog at
Dude,
Michigan.
was he at the combine today? I didn't see anything. Did he get the invite?
Good question.
I don't think he did.
I don't remember seeing him either. I guess not. He's not on here.
That's crazy.
Huh. Yeah, dude, I remember him being a dog at Michigan. I got to check him out now.
Yeah, I did too.
I had watched their wide receiver, and I really liked him. Haven't looked at Mike Stainer still. I have looked at Mike Stainer still.
He might be older or something.
I liked him more than Andrew Phillips. Say that. Chris Jenkins. I watched some Chris Jenkins too.
Yeah, so I haven't watched Chris Jenkins, but I was looking at his size. I'm like, he's like small, like really small.
Yeah, I mean he's got a. I just had it here. He's got like good length though. Yeah, 6'2". Wait, 6'2.5", 305.
Oh, so he's thick.
But he ain't like built big though.
Yeah, his frame is like
He is. He's kind of like linear looking.
He's like a little bulldog then. What is he?
Bro, from what I had seen, very good reaction quickness. Less natural leverage. I think if I remember right, man, he was just like a really good mover, man. If I remember right, he moved so well, and it was like the production I don't think was there. I don't think he had much production at all. Like you never seem to get that from guys that play like a 4-eye. But I remember he was like a really good athlete, and then I think he had good length on top of it. It's just like in today's NFL, like a lot of teams like fine with like the dudes that aren't super stout. It's like, let me just get the guy that's big and he has long arms. Just give me that guy. So it's like, okay, that's where the value's going, I guess. I don't know if he'd fit here, but I don't know, maybe.
No, I don't want to. I mean, I'm not saying he'd be bad or anything like that. I just don't. I guess you already know. I want a big fat MF in the middle.
Hey, that sweat that you got it. That's what you need to put on the website is sweat. You need to No, see, Cooper DeJean, he's a dog. No, he's a dog. Cooper DeJean to me is what we just talked about, me and Easy here. Like, he has some of the best traits of any corner, I think, of the draft.
Yes.
He just, to me, man, my big thing, I didn't think he was good at anticipating, man. I always felt like he was just kind of like reacting to everything. I didn't love that.
He's going to be a safety, and he's going to be a dog.
Could be.
I'm talking like.
Why would you put him at safety? You don't think he could play corner?
I don't think he's going to play corner.
Bro, like, and that's the thing too. Like, I heard that too. Like, he might play safety, and like, bro, it's like, well, hold up, he's fast.
Fast. Yeah. Well, because here's the thing, man. There's like, it's so weird with him too. That's why, like, I really don't. Like, maybe I'm off. Like, maybe he does play corner, but I just feel like there's fast where you're just like straight line fast, like killing it, speed, whatever, and then just like the direction and like I guess reactionary shit is like what I like. And now he see him tested that way either, you know.
Mm-hmm. He did play like off the press a lot different. He was one of those dudes that would take every single step to match a receiver. Like he would try to match every single step, and it would like get him caught behind. But it's like to me, like the flip side is like, okay, he doesn't look like your natural corner where it's like, oh, just open hips and run. Like he's the kind of guy that's gonna chop with you the entire time. But at the same time, it's like, yo, that footwork's fast though. So it's like it looked a little weird. I don't know. You might be you probably are right. A lot of people are saying safety. I could see that. Just like how it could fit him.
And I don't want to be disrespectful to him in the corner because I think he's going to be elite at the safety position. Like, I think he'll be like Pro Bowler, maybe even an All Pro. Like I think he'll be like because he's really physical too. I think out of like him and Rakestraw, I think play the run the best. Armstead or Arnold too.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't really see him as an outside guy. I see him like as a nickel safety, and maybe I'm just being a little bit racist with it. I ain't gonna lie. I mean,
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I was just wondering. You know what I mean? I was gonna say nothing. You said safety. I was like, okay, why though?
Yeah, I did listen to his interview, and I probably should listen to the whole thing first. But it sounds like that's what teams are asking him in these interviews too. Like,
okay,
well, maybe it's like weird stuff to do at combines, like get you off your game, like piss you off and see how you react to this stuff. You
know? I like that. Okay, I never thought about it like that. Maybe that is hype him up. He's like Lamar Jackson. Like, nah, I'm playing quarterback.
So Charles Dickinson makes a great point too. I don't know if to say his name right, but like the other part, when he returns the punts, he was so shifty.
Was he a good punt returner? I didn't watch him as a punt returner.
He's a freak athlete, bro. I just don't know if he's got like the, I guess twitch maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Maybe he just ain't. I don't know. We don't got the flexibility to play.
You see him playing outside corner?
I thought he could play outside corner, bro. I'm gonna be honest, but I see what you're saying because he doesn't look like a natural corner playing corner. Like he looks a little bit different. This way that he moves a little bit different. His traits are crazy though. Like I would have no question about him running with someone that's super fast. He's got the length. He's got the size. His ball skills are incredible. So that could point to your point. Like, yeah, play him at safety. Like the amount of times you'll see him, like there was I think it was Ohio State where he was like in the back of the end zone, like just sticking with dudes, and then they throw it up and you just like launch in the air. I could see how that'd be a safety.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That dude was crazy on some of those. Like, okay.
Crazy hops.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. He could be an elite safety, man. I did him as a corner, but you might be right. I don't know, man. Yeah, Mike St was still, yeah, he's little though, 5'9", 182. I mean, I guess he could probably. I mean, he might be able to play on the. I mean, Cam Sutton plays on the outside, so.
Broder, I just saw in the chat commented because he went to Michigan. He says, and so he watched him a ton. It says Jenkins is a pretty explosive athlete, nicknamed the Mutant. Stats don't paint a picture, but he's productive in their defense. Yeah, I mean that's one thing too. I hate when I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but like sometimes when casual people speak on the defensive tackles, are like, oh, but the numbers. I'm like, bro, sometimes you just gotta eat blocks. It's like sometimes a defensive tackle is just asked to fucking eat blocks. Like,
right.
It annoys me when people are like, oh, but the number, like when you see a defensive tackle have crazy sacks, like that's because he's a monster. Like that's not like normal sometimes, you know.
Yeah, no, you're right. Is usually about the scheme, dude. Anybody that plays that kind of scheme that he plays in does not put up numbers. Like when Will McDonald was in the inside, it was like his numbers aren't there, and then they put him on the edge. It's like, dude, why was this guy playing inside of a tackle? Yeah. That was Will McDonald. There, hey, Jets. There we go. Okay, that I don't know why. Felix.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. There we go.
The purple team. I don't remember which one, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out to Felix. There we go.
Do you think it's kind of like random? I guess not. Oh, kind of. Do you think Sue's a Hall of Famer?
Who?
Dominican Sue.
Ooh. Dang, that's a good. Probably not.
But still really good, right?
Does that sound crazy? I mean, I feel like that's disrespectful to say out loud, but
I'm a fan for it, though, so I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah, like he won like defensive rookie there with 10 sacks. Dude. It's hard. Just knowing that alone, he wasn't like crazy with the Dolphins, but he also was never not really darn good, until he just got old.
It's like, I mean, he had 2 6-sack seasons with Tampa, but again, that's interior. Like I'm saying, like that's like Dominican Sue was obviously one of the best defensive tackles in our lifetime. So is that crazy? Is that fair to say? Or like,
yeah, definitely
for us, not like the people because they got Warren Sapp and stuff like that, but the numbers were never crazy. That's because sometimes he was just asked to fucking eat blocks.
That made his rookie season even crazier. It's like, bro, how do you have 10 sacks on the inside? No, you were see, okay, but then here would be the question, right? It's like, because some people like him or Chris Jones, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Chris Jones is better for sure. He just does it all.
And that's where it's tough, man. Because
the other thing too, Chris Jones though, sometimes he rushes from the edge.
Yeah, he does. He moves around.
It's like single sacks. He's getting from the interior.
Nah, he's a Hall of Famer, dude. Because he has to be, bro. He has to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is.
Sue, he's an icon, dude. Like he's an icon in the NFL when he was a Lion, bro. Dude was absolutely crazy. Like reset the market when he signed. He was still really good, and then he was really good run defender too. Like I don't know how great Chris Jones is against the run, but he was really good against the run. That dude was crazy.
Yeah, I mean Chris Jones is a Hall of Famer too, though. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I just wonder how deep they'll go with interior defense linemen because Donald's getting in, but like I've heard, and I don't know where I've heard it, but I know I've heard questions like, "Oh, is Chris Jones a Hall of Famer?" Well, it's like, dang, if you're questioning that, I mean, it might be hard to put an account of Sue in there as well if you're questioning him.
Yeah, screw that.
I don't, man. Nah, you know how it is.
Yeah, you're right.
National TV, you know how it is, man.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I like putting Sue in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, Chad. Last thing I'll say here, like someone asked about Mike St still. Yeah, I don't know if he could play on the outside, to be honest. But I know I liked it better than Andrew Phillips, the corner out of Kentucky, and I graded him pretty well across the board. Outside of press, he didn't do a lot of press coverage, but I liked him in zone. solid and off man cover. I mean, he's probably a round 3 kind of guy. I don't know. Like slot corners too. Like if you don't feel like he can play on the outside, their value drops. We saw that with Brian Branch. Dude was insane, but it's like because he don't have the long speed or the size, we can't put him outside.
I mean, even once he made it to the league and had a good year, they were still like kind of like disrespecting him.
It's unreal. That guy should not have gotten to round 2, bro. He was so much better than dude. That dude's like it was like top 10 probably production that entire draft class. He was so good, and as a fan of just the draft alone, like I knew of Brian Branch, knew he was really good. And I just assumed we would never get him. But then it's also the flip side when you step back and you're like, bro, the guy was 21 years old. The guy played for 3 years in college, and he was that good. It's like, how in the world did this guy get to round 2? Guys that come out after 3 years are usually first round picks, maybe early second, which I guess he was. Yeah. But for a slot corner to do that, like, no, dude, that dude had to be round 1. I don't know how that happened, but I guess that's just I don't understand how there's limited value.
He didn't really test well, but then like we watched like the tape, I was like, his hips like make up for all that.
It was insane.
He was crazy. It wasn't even really tape I was watching. I was randomly watching like workouts, and it's after the fact that we dropped him. Drafted him. I was like, damn, he's actually like his reaction and hips like make up for like the speed, lack thereof, you know. And sometimes people just have play speed too. Like Amon-Ra is a perfect example of that.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. It's like a whole difference of play speed versus 40 time. And then he was a insane run defender too. And he was a great blitzer in college, which he didn't even really pop in the NFL, but he was great in college at doing that. So I don't know, man. I don't understand that.
Honey Badger didn't test well either.
He's a safety though. Yeah. I feel like safety is different. Safety has to get value different. Like a fast 40 and safety doesn't usually feel like it matters that much.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like I don't ever feel like I walk away and like, oh man, you remember that guy's 40? He was crazy. Never. Yeah. I don't even know what Kyle Hamilton's 40 had to be pretty darn good.
It was bad.
It was bad. Oh dang, you're right. Yeah, you're. Oh,
so it's like Kyle Hamilton guys when he ran the poor 40. Everyone's like, oh, you fucking you're guys.
I remember that. Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. And that dude was playing slot too. Like that guy was even just playing deep safety. He's playing slot with Baltimore. Crazy. Yeah. And it's almost like safety length matters more. Like how long is the dude? Like Kirby's super long back there.
Yeah.
That almost feels like more valuable than just straight speed. Because I remember a lot of like 5'10" dudes that were fast and they're not even doing anything in the NFL. So
yeah, for me it's like combine numbers, the ones I look for, like for defensive linemen, I'll look at the 10 yards. Like, and I had to refresh myself like every year because I've only really been like scouting the draft like this for like the past like 2-3 years. How long have you been doing it like this? Since your YouTube channel?
No, definitely no. I remember we took you took Hawkinson, bro. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah,
I didn't really know Ed Oliver, but I knew he was a defensive lineman, so I wanted him. Yeah. After we took Hawk, I knew nobody, and then I knew Greedy Williams. I think it was the same year. I knew who that was. I was like, "Yo, let's take Greedy at 8." Like, that's how jacked up I was early in this. Now, I would say like this, maybe 2 years, maybe no 3. I would say 3 years. But over the last year, it's gotten better because of where I'd worked. So it's like, I think what's huge for me, and we'll see, but it's like actually knowing what to look for. Like, because in the past, I would just like watch it, and there were certain things that I liked, but I couldn't gauge him against other things. So it was like, okay, this guy's fast, but this guy's bit like, what's
exactly.
What really
that's why I was asking too. It's like, I think going forward, the way I'm gonna operate, or how I've been operating at least, is like, because Hutch, like last year was the first year I ever like dived that deep into the draft. It was so fun, and like now I know players across the league. I'm like, yeah, I thought he'd be that. It's like, sweet, he is that, right? Like Kyle Hamilton and stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like I'm gonna rely more on tape, and then like when it comes to combine, like Detroit Lions specific, I'm gonna be listening to the interviews because obviously they're really picky with that stuff. And then
it's good.
The 10 yards for defensive linemen, arm length, obviously too for defensive linemen.
Yeah, shuttles
and measurements as well. Like,
you're talking about for the combine.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of just traits like I'll use, you know. Because sometimes people have those freaky numbers, like Fisk for the perfect example, right? Freaky numbers at the combine, but okay, is that going to translate to like on the field play? He did obviously at Florida State and Western Michigan. Sounds like he was a beast. I haven't actually done the homework on it, but I think we see Trayvon Walker. We see these combine warriors all the time, but they don't always pan out, you know. So I try not to like read too much of the combine. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh yeah, I kind of hate it because like I love the event, but at the same time, it's like I put like nothing into the combine at all outside of them
Yeah,
just giving us official numbers I could pull up for a cool graphic.
exactly. That's what I'm
I
saying. Yeah,
use it for nothing, bro. But that's also like what they would tell me, like those like NFL scouts that we got to learn from. They were like, bro, like the value order combine's at the bottom, dude. It's about the interview. Like there is like from
yeah,
what they said that they would take, they took like nothing from any of the drills or workouts. Like it was nothing. It was like, bro, film is like 90% of it. Everything else, it's like there's a little bit here, like their bowl games. If they go to like the East West Shrine Bowl and stuff, it's like they compete against other
yeah,
talent. But bro, like the combine, they took like nothing from it. So it was like, all right, like it's cool for numbers and stuff. I
yeah.
like it because it gets us talking about the draft. That's why I like it. But
Yes.
outside of
And
that,
dude,
yeah,
the film never lies. Like I can't really think of like
no.
someone I thought was sick. At least like, while I've been doing this, that like didn't pan out really. Like even like the Malik Willis stuff, that was like on high hope and the rookie contract.
Right.
It wasn't like I thought he had that he was like super. I've never said those things. I think he had an arm, a deep arm, and he could
Oh, he
run.
did,
That's
yeah.
about it. You know.
Quarterback's like impossible though, to be fair. Like ain't nobody do that, right?
Thank you, man. Thank you for everybody in the chat who's ever like had the Malik Willis stuff to throw at like myself or anybody in for that matter. Like the GMs don't get these quarterbacks right. You will never make me feel bad for a quarterback take coming out of the draft. At least once they get in the league and there's like 3 years, I feel like you could say things, but like coming out of the draft, everybody gets that wrong.
That would be the two things. First, and like now it's better because I have like categories to look for. But I remember how I love Carson Strong, bro. Dude didn't get drafted. I was like, okay, oh, he's gonna prove everybody wrong. And then he was at like the UFL or USFL or something. I think we were at one of the games of the team that he was on, and he was a backup. I was like, okay, dude's not even.
Yeah.
He's not even playing. I was like, all right, I missed on that one. And then like the flip side of it, like last year when you would come on here, I remember we talked about Hendon Hooker. We did like a mock with Brad, and I had Hendon Hooker round 1. You were accurate. I think you had us taking Hendon Hooker in round 3, like to give you like you were on it. You had us taking Hendon Hooker in round 3, and I was like, no, that's crazy. We can't take him in round. He's gonna be gone. But like I think a big part of that for me was I was so bought into seeing the mocks that like you start to like, oh, that's where he has to go, and it was just way off. And sometimes it's accurate, but like sometimes, dude, it's just like you can't look at that because it was like the Malik Willis draft where I didn't think Malik Willis was a first round guy, but at the same time, it's like it's the flip side. I thought Carson Strong would be a high draft pick because that's what the thought was. Doesn't get drafted at all. Bro, quarterbacks are one of those things like, dude, you can't look at mocks at all.
So weird, man.
Quarterbacks are going to go completely different than what you think. And a lot of times I think quarterbacks go a lot later than what people expect. They always get overvalued, like big time, dude.
What happens with the Malik Willis draft is like that where I learned that the most, right? Is like,
oh yeah,
they're just not gonna happen like that, dude. It's not.
No, it's to what you said. It's like it's like okay, if their film's not that great, it's like even if they have some great, they're just teams are not gonna just take them to take them. Like you always hear, it's like oh they need a quarterback, they gotta take one. They just don't do it. Like I'm not taking him. He's not that good. So I mean, I guess times you miss like Lamar, but he's like unique because he still went round 1.
Yeah.
But like though everybody overhypes quarterbacks all the time and then they just fall. It's like McCarthy. I see people saying top 10. I haven't even watched him. But like would it shock me if McCarthy didn't go round 1? No. Like I would be like, that makes sense. The dude had like no passing production at Michigan. Not a shock that he didn't go round 1.
So
I see the interest.
I think he still might go because like how young he is and the traits are like they're there.
Oh yeah.
He's like
I like him.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I that's just like watching like when I've watched, And I was thinking too, Sean Payton, I feel like it's a perfect place for him to go. Like
right.
Hey, let him sit for a year and then turn him up how you want. Because he that's the cool thing about him too, is like I think that's probably the real plus side of him is like he has all those traits. He's super coachable. Like think about how much they did not throw at Michigan. Like to have a guy with like the skill set and like I don't know, like just not use him like that. He's got to be willing to not be used like that. Otherwise, he could have asked out. Because like for a minute there, what's his name was turning over him too.
Oh yeah, McNamara. That dude was like super dynamic, dude. JJ was so awesome. And then shoot, what was I gonna say? Dang, I don't remember what I was about to say.
Sorry,
you're talking about JJ. No, you could. Oh no, I haven't watched either of these dudes at all. But like the idea that Michael Penix would go after McCarthy still kind of blows my mind. It's like I kind of see it. But at the same time, that sounds insane. Penix was awesome at Indiana. Like, how would this guy go after McCarthy?
So what I think Well, what I hear obviously is for like the injury history, but I think he'll end up being like he'll be that guy that's like he's sporadic. Like he'll have like really really good games. It's like damn, this guy's sick. Then have a couple like sleeper games maybe. I don't know. I think he's gonna be good in the league though. I feel like whoever gets him, like they're gonna get a dog. He's got like some crazy ass like hands, I guess too, where like the weather doesn't affect him because like he just grips the ball like
huge.
Yeah,
he's huge. Yeah, dude's huge. He's got a rocket arm. It's like, how does that guy go after JJ McCarthy? Like, I like McCarthy too, but that sounds insane. I remember we were doing a roundtable in the Vikings guy, and I was just like thinking, like, oh, you guys should just take Penix. I hadn't watched any of them. And then they're like, no, Penix ain't even round one. I'm like, he's not round one. I'm like, what? Yeah. That guy's insane. So I don't know. I mean, I got to watch him, but I feel like when I come back, I'm going to believe that Michael Penix is going to go pretty high, much higher than JJ McCarthy. I think I'll buy into that. And I wouldn't be shocked. I'm going to be so wrong on this. I would not be shocked, though, if all this McCarthy talk to Denver and he goes to them in round 2 or round 3. And it's like, that's the team, but it wasn't round 1. It's kind of like Hendon Hooker. Like, there was hype around him to line. I loved it, but it was round 3. And it was like, well, he's coming off an injury.
Like a Malik Willis was like all this hype around him, but you just don't view him as like that worthy of like investing that early in, you know? Because you're sitting on him a year for sure. Like, I don't think JJ's walking and starting anywhere unless he like have to. I don't think it's. I think it's better for quarterbacks to sit, honestly.
Oh yeah, and for you, like you said, you've watched him a little bit. I just watched him, when they played live. But like I mean, from the little maybe that you could change your opinion. But like right now, do you really think that McCarthy's a better prospect than Hendon Hooker? I mean, you have the age thing, and he was coming off an injury. But like as a player, like I find that crazy.
Yeah, like start right now. No.
Oh, I think dude, yeah.
I mean, no, yeah, I can Hooker all day.
But
that's
yeah.
What you think he could be is probably where that.
I just think Tennessee, they brought in Joe Milton, and it was like, well, the offense is so crazy. And it's like, they weren't the same at all. That guy had a big arm, too. They didn't look the same at all this past year. They took off with Hendon Hooker, and it was like, bro, that team's awesome. It's crazy offense they put together, and it did nothing with Joe Milton. He looked terrible in the Senior Bowl. It's like, there's no way Jaden McCarthy's a better prospect than this guy. I struggle to believe it, but maybe it's true. I gotta see it.
That's great. That's a phenomenal point, because like when you even look at Hooker's numbers, the accuracy was off the charts. Like,
oh yeah, dude. I mean, especially when you talk about like the deep ball and things like that. Now he'd miss some easy ones, but it was like,
didn't really turn the ball over.
He never turned the ball over, and then he could run. It was like this guy would take. He probably had as many. I bet he had as many rushing yards as JJ McCarthy, if not more, in his final season. That dude took off.
I said one thing. I think I said on my show too. One thing I'll say about the Goff stuff is like I do like those numbers. Like I like for everything I said I meant. Well, what I do think it happened, or I think like they might do, is wait till the next year, like I actually get a year of what Hooker is before they make that big time investment. You know,
right?
See, technically, it's still franchise, right? You know, I mean,
yeah, I get that.
And I don't mean as a disrespect. It's like if Ben leaves, there's questions, you know, versus with him, like it's like okay, if a play breaks down, he could use his feet or throw on the run or whatever it may be. I think they waited out for that reason, but I could be wrong, obviously.
Here's what I think. I think we'll see next season, because it's kind of to your point, but I guess maybe not. I think we're going to see next season is the Lions are going to start utilizing Hendon Hooker inside the 20. I could be completely off, but I think we're going to start to see it. Yeah, I think he's going to become kind of like the second quarterback. Yes, and I think you've talked about this at times last year too, because it's like especially when you get inside the 5. I love Goff. But it's like you add an extra element, like when everybody knows you're gonna run, the Lions don't hide it, and you just let Hooker hand it off, because then you just know he can pull it and take off. Like you just have to make one guy wait, and it changes everything. That's where I think you start to get Hooker involved. Is there'll be like because we didn't see it all last year because of the injury. I think you're gonna occasionally see him in certain spots where it's like let's get him some snaps 1, but 2 like 4th and 1, let's let Hooker handle it. Like if we know there's gonna be a little bit of an RPO look here, let's have Hooker do it. I think he's gonna add value to that next year.
Yeah, what I'd love for it to happen, this is like a dream scenario. I'm just pipe dreaming now. But like do it all year long on those 4th and shorts, or like even in the goal line all year long. I saw the Eagles already do this, but I feel like it just works better with us because I'm a Lions fan. But
yeah,
they'll do it where like obviously like push was a thing, so they're all like put up to stop it, and then bam, it's a pass, and like fucking no one's all day. Like please,
absolutely.
Yeah, like it's filthy.
He's got to start getting. He will, and it's like you couldn't last year. You know, he's just trying to get healthy. But it's like, bro, next year, oh yeah, dude. I think there's Ben Johnson's too creative with the crazy snapping the ball through Goff's legs to Dave Montgomery to not use Hendon Hooker in some snap.
Yeah,
like he's too creative to not find a way to use a crazy athlete like that.
Yeah, I guess it kind of sucks we don't have like athletic scores for him to know if he could like.
For Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, like
I think
out there,
probably
like
have projected ones.
That or like a receiver, you know, some flea flicker stuff.
Right.
That's what I'm gonna know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna know.
Oh yeah, I guess we don't. Yeah, because he didn't run anything. I thought maybe they'd have like projections, but you're right, they don't have nothing on that. I mean, the dude's 6'3", 217, bro. He's a big dude. I just know the dude could run. I remember him making crazy plays with his legs, and it wasn't like it was natural, but bro, he could like run dudes over. It was like he's like a power runner. So on 4th and 1, like he's not trying to break someone's ankles. He's just gonna run forward. Yeah, man. All right. I don't want to hold. We've been going for a hot minute.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta get home, bro.
I gotta drive home.
Yeah, Lizzie's sleeping there. Hey man, look, is there any any player or something that the chat should look out for tomorrow, or someone just in general? You're like, hey, bro, watch for this guy, and then anything else you want to shout out, man.
If anybody doesn't already know, I'm live from 5 to 7 on Woodward Sports Network. We're live all day. It starts at 8 with my guy Broder. So that's Wake Up Woodward, and we're live all day. I'm gonna start doing this with the thing I like about this platform or I don't know, style, whatever content we're doing. We are making content, yes, but I feel like we're like bouncing off each other. I'm learning things, like I'm getting new ideas, like different players, like. We're like on air. I think I'm just forced to put on a show. I'm forced to be the professional that knows everything. For you, I gotta have a conversation. Like, what do you think about that? You know what I'm saying? I like doing this a lot better. I'm a lot more comfortable doing it. But yeah, I want to do this a lot more. Guys, look out for. I don't know if he's there, but I've convinced myself TJ Tampa purely based off speculation and hope. All right, so just keep eyes on him. Let me know what you think. Nate Wiggins, a guy I think he can fall through his interviews today. I want to see what he tests at because he looks like a freak athlete.
Right.
Oh, Bernardo Green. Have you watched him at all?
Wait, what was the name?
Bernardo Green from Florida State.
No, it was he defensive end?
I'm sorry, cornerback.
Cornerback. Okay. Oh yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah. I haven't seen him. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
All right. Here's the names. Bernardo Green.
Yup.
Wiggins just for fun.
Okay.
Lassiter, because that's been floated around to the Detroit Lions too. Yeah. TJ Tampa.
There you go. All right, chat. Watch every single cornerback tonight, man. No, I feel you though. This is a nice change up from doing the normal videos and stuff, bro. Because like my graphics are here, but I'm kind of just you get to chill a little bit. I don't usually cut these up, but I might have to. Other thing, I can get you the logins if you went to that website. So
honestly, I probably should do that just for notes sake.
Yeah, and I gotta you gotta build up the sections, but like I have cornerback and stuff in there. You also have last year's, so if you type them in, there you go. We can fill it up. So all right, I think they hit everything, man. Chat, appreciate y'all joining. All right, leave us some words of wisdom, man. The chat's needed some.
I appreciate having me out, man.
That's not words of wisdom. No.
Oh, me?
Yeah, I'm not giving you words of wisdom. You got to give me words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
I thought that was
just keep swimming. That's though.